starting in 10 seconds. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, put your feet up and enjoy as we go into semi-final number 2 of the Logitech Assembly Dota 2 tournament.
Actually, we could start off with a bit of an anecdote. As Seppo were warming up over there, Lapis, the support player, he was playing the 1v1 mid mode. He was playing the 1v1 mid mode with one of their guys, and he was up a kill, but his tower was going a bit low. So he went up and he denied it, and he was very surprised when he lost the game.
I think
so that's why you don't let support players play mid.
Yeah, I think he was expecting Fistful of Tangos, 2 towers or 2 kills.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
On that note, as we load into this game, for the most part, we're going to have a much easier time. The Seppo guys have all switched their names to their actual names for the tournament roster. So we have Nuerte, Spin, Boogie, Sifla, and Lapis for Seppo 13. And on that note, we do get the Lycan band out and the Razor band
10
out.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, the Razor has been seeing a lot of play, and it's just a very strong laner and a strong pusher, and it's just a hero you'd rather not deal with.
I can completely understand that. We've seen with the Aghanims how effective it is as a tower pusher, being able to shred the towers with Eye of the Storm, and then usually combined with the Death Prophet with Q-Gens, where we've seen it in that role.
Yeah.
The scary thing.
Question is, what do you ban out as second one from Beni Vidivici? Oh, Skyrat. I suppose that's a fairly general purpose ban in this situation.
And capable of bursting down the Enigma should it be picked up.
Now it's either they ban out. No, they banned out the 2. Yeah, that means they probably take up the Brewmaster now.
The Brewmaster would give them a good amount of teamfight burst and no surprises. Nota. I think we know him a little bit too well from the times we've seen him play. We've been. I for one have been casting for about 2 years. I believe you him longer.
I've known him for quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
You sort of end up knowing people over time when you hang around the scene a bit.
And the style of drafts as well. But
yeah.
For the most part, how do Seppo 13 counterpick into this?
And Rasta.
Tidehunter and Rasta, you think? Rasta would at least give them the tower pushing capability.
I was thinking of saying like they might go for like push, because for all that Brewmaster provides a lot of control, he's not really counter push. So, but that I was thinking of something like the Death Prophet. The silence can be nice, although that of course depends on you being able to initiate or catching out that Brewmaster.
I can completely understand that. And we are actually going to see a Tide and an Enigma.
Enigma deny.
This is a deny on the terms of Beni Vidivici. However, this does leave a Shadow Shaman for them should they want it. Or could we see something else along the lines of a Rubik at this point? Because you've just picked up 2 of the biggest teamfight ultimates, 2 of the best spells to steal in the game.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good place to pick up Rubik if you're going to.
Otherwise, I would expect it to be
Enigma also, because you know they have a jungler, so you get a bit more space for the Rubik to maybe roam around, maybe find some kills, or just pulling the lane. Just jungle that way. It was the Shadow Shaman though.
The other option that they had in terms of supports that they could pick up at this point is going to be very effective going in towards the mid game. Towers will start falling in the early game if he can get that all-important level 6, because we have seen in the few games we had yesterday and today, if a Shadow Shaman doesn't manage to get that all-important level 6 quickly, he will fall off in effectiveness and it could be the detriment of an entire team.
Yeah.
5 seconds remaining.
Question is, what do you take to... I think you want to still roam and gank a bit with that Shadow Shaman right now.
I'd agree.
So what do you take for the follow-up?
To pair with a Shadow Shaman, I mean, Earthshaker is always a good one. Earthshaker as a roaming support works quite well. You could pick up a VS, we've not seen it much in this tournament, but again, a very nice one, considering you can lead with the Hex, follow up with the Magic Missile.
Yeah.
And there will be the Rubik band that I expected, considering.
And the Death Prophet band out as well. So.
Well, that was a necessary one, otherwise you did have then 2 incredibly large teamfight ultimates combined with the Death Prophet's AoE damage, silence, and most importantly, exorcism. And no one wants to be caught under exorcism without an ability to run or
10
fight back.
seconds remaining.
I don't know.
5 seconds.
Shadow
remaining.
Shaman. I'm gonna keep on suggesting the Mirana. Well,
Dire team
since it's
back.
Veni Vidi Vici, it would probably be Valix playing it though, so it would be a core role.
We saw him play the Mirana to great
Yeah.
effect yesterday. Equally, we did see him go a little bit overzealous in terms of aggression at
Yeah,
a point or
but that's just Valix playing.
That's Valix
His
being
normal
Valix.
style.
10 seconds remaining.
Like he's a pretty good farmer and he's a pretty good
5
overall
seconds
sort of carry
remaining.
player, but he is a bit. He has a tendency to go a bit deep
Reserve
sometimes.
Fair enough, fair enough.
It happens.
And now with the Pugna band out, that's going to deter any kind of heavy
Dire
push with the
team
multiple
pick.
ward heroes. Especially with
Pugna's. I don't know. I don't think they probably would have gone it for a Pugna.
it's a possibility. I mean, you consider a Shadow Shaman, you push with the Spirit Serpent wards, you bring in the Nether Blast as well, you can start shredding towers in no time at all.
Yeah, but how does Pugna sit in a lineup with Brewmaster?
Well, Brewmaster can control a target
10 seconds remaining.
and while Pugna
I
life
suppose that's
drains
true.
the stunned one.
I suppose that's
5
true.
seconds remaining.
I don't know. I just think Pugna is more of a straight up push lineup hero,
Reserve time.
Fair enough.
and Brewmaster is more of that feeling of we'll push your towers because we can simply bully you out of the way.
I personally like the combo with the Pugna and the Brewmaster because you consider what Pugna brings. The push, yes. The Nether Ward, which is going to deter certain team fights. But more importantly, decrep. Brewmaster keg stomps on the decrep, splits, stuns the decrep target, what is also going to be victim of an Ether Shock and a Pugna Blast. That's a dead person, hands down.
Yeah, but you don't get the guaranteed critical hits on the same guy.
No, you don't get the physical damage coming through, but
So
normally you'll get
you
blink
sort of
in,
you
keg,
sort of
split.
Yeah, you sort of have to though. Then the Brewmaster has to split up his damage. So
Big team fight team,
swings
it
around
seems.
about.
Radiant
Yeah.
team
I wasn't expecting the Earthshaker for Seppo 13, but they just want to come in and they want all the team fight heroes.
It makes a fair bit of sense. It allows them to protect their lanes even with the Enigma being in the jungle. So even if they are playing a bit weaker in terms of their very early laning stage, the Earthshaker gives them that
10
safety.
seconds remaining.
And with Earthshaker there, this still could be a very
5
scary thing here
seconds
for
remaining.
Veni Vidi Vici. If they get caught out in a team fight against these three heroes,
Reserve time.
they're going to have big problems. But then again, with the split push coming from a Tinker of all
Dire
heroes,
team pick.
and that's a Matuberman Tinker,
Yeah.
do you reckon it's going to be a dying under the tier 1 Matuberman Tinker? Or are we just going to have a good fighting, looking for an early blink, travels, not treads, and Dagon go for the team fight Tinker?
I think he likes the Dagon build. I think he likes being that flashy player. So
That's
but
actually what I get
I-
from his personality as well.
yeah,
That seems to fit
yeah,
Matuberman
he has
pretty
that
much.
certain personality that's.
He has a certain swagger to him, I think is the right word.
He should be playing more Shadow Fiend.
Reserve time.
I'll take that one under advisement. I highly doubt, touch wood, that we'll see a Shadow Fiend in the entire tournament. If there is a Shadow Fiend, I'll eat my non-existent
know.
hat.
I like Shadow Fiend.
I like Shadow Fiend as a hero, but it's very susceptible to being ganked.
Shadow Fiend could work for Seppa right now.
If they pick up the Shadow Fiend, it's going to be a Mirana. It's going to be something a little more sensible.
They're stealing all the heroes that we wanted for Veni Vidi Vici.
It certainly pays out for them, because if you consider right now, is this going to be a
Like,
support Mirana
they've
or
taken-
a carry Mirana?
They've taken 4 heroes that I think we all predicted or
For VVV, yeah.
suggested for them.
Is this Mirana support or carry, though? Is it core or support?
It's Gary. Yeah.
Fair enough. Even though the roaming pair of Earthshaker Mirana is actually quite scary.
10 seconds.
Yeah,
remaining.
no, but I think it's just
5 seconds remaining.
like I suppose you could have him as a roaming pair, but then you'd have to put Enigma as a solo mid, and the only team I've seen doing that recently is Fnatic, maybe.
A core solo Enigma works out quite well. I mean, if you consider on the lane, the Tinker, in the first few levels, he's going to have problems with those Eidolons. Until he gets that
Yeah.
march up, the Eidolons are going to be very difficult to cope with. especially with potentially a Mirana and an Earthshaker appearing and messing up your day in the mid lane. Fish it into arrow is something we've already seen in this tournament. And
Yeah, the Wraith King though, I was actually going to suggest it gives them that guy who can just stand on the front line, tank up those ultimates, and survive or come back. I'd like to see that. Yeah, actually that could work. Brewmaster off lane and Wraith King safe lane. It could
As a
work.
core.
Yeah.
Okay. The support combination of Shadow Shaman Wraith King is something we have seen in this tournament
Yeah.
so far today.
Yeah.
So it could certainly be a support Wraith King as well, something to keep in mind. And right now we've got one ban apiece. Seppo, they're going to look to be banning out a most likely core carry type hero. What would you think would be the right choice here for them to ban?
It has to be a space creator, pretty much. Clockwork, maybe. I don't know. Like if you, no, they go with the Enchantress ban. So I guess they're thinking as well that the Wraith King is a core.
Fair enough. If the Wraith King's a core and the Enchantress ban out is on point, then this certainly could put a cog in Vendivisi's works at least. But we also get a ban on the Naga Siren by VVV. Don't want to give Seppo any more team fight.
The Silencer would do a lot of work as well, but the problem is, can you sustain him?
How would you run a Silencer in this?
10 seconds remaining.
You could get a offensive trial out of Brewmaster, Shadow Shaman, Wraith King?
I wouldn't think so, no. Brewmaster needs those levels. If Brewmaster doesn't get the levels, it's going to be a big problem. Are you kidding me? Seriously? Is my voice carrying? Can they hear me? I'm eating my non-existent hat, ladies and gentlemen.
I enjoy that.
I concede 2 points to you. 3.5 points play 2. Good God.
Oh God,
This is going to be a lion.
That's so much team fight though.
Yes, that is a scary amount of team fighting. I can understand the ban on the Naga Siren completely, considering, could you imagine the song set up into Echo Slam, Black Hole, Ravage?
Yeah, that would have been nasty.
Good God.
And they would have actually had space to run the Naga Siren because all of these are, they don't need that much farm, any of the heroes. So there's actually space to have a Naga Siren on the map, eating up all that farm, and the rest of your lineup could still be very effective. But yeah, the Shadow Fiend, he'll just become a monster.
If he can survive the early game. How is the Tinker versus Shadow Fiend matchup?
Are you sure it's going to be a Tinker though, or the Shadow Fiend?
In the mid lane?
It could be the Mirana.
It could be the Mirana, but I wouldn't have expected it.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, given that it's Dire side, right? Yeah. I mean, you don't have the same easy camp like next to you, so you don't get the extra souls for Shadow Fiend. So you might as well throw him to the safe lane.
Okay, I can understand that, yeah. Either way, as we load into the game...
The Faceless Void is pretty interesting.
Yeah, the Faceless Void is interesting. The Faceless Void will be able to hopefully counter-initiate and stop Seppo 13's combo in its tracks, but that's a big if. He needs to find those perfect Chronospheres, and that's going to be...
It works well with the Tinker and to some extent the Shadow Shaman.
I would agree on that one, yeah.
The Brewmaster, though... The Brewmaster has to control everything that's outside of the Chrono.
Indeed,
that
he needs to tornado up
that becomes his role becomes to just move around the edges of the fight, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, that's honestly what I expected out of Varlix in this case anyway. But on that note, as we load into the game, let's introduce the teams, shall we? For Seppo, we have Nuerte on the Earthshaker, we have Spin on the Tidehunter, we have Lapis on the Enigma, we have Sifla on the Mirana, and finally we have Boogie on the Shadow Fiend that I didn't expect.
And since it's Boogie, that pretty much means it's solo mid.
Yeah. On the flip side of this coin, however, we've got Sown on that Faceless Void heading towards the offlane, potentially. Potential tri-lane heading up there. We've got Matuberman on the Tinker, we've got Nota on that Wraith King, and Thompson on the Shadow Shaman. That does, of course, leave on the safe lane Brewmaster for now, Varlix. So based on this draft, where is your money, Sunzu?
Wait, what? Now Boogie's on the Tidehunter.
Oh, Mind Games maybe?
And Sifla, yeah, it's solo mid Shadowfiend. Or no, I mean, safe lane Shadowfiend.
A little bit of a mind game here then.
Yeah, that leaves spin for the Mirana, and he generally plays. Well, Boogie used to play off lane as well, so Boogie could still take up the bottom lane, but I think it's going to be spin on the bottom lane.
I think they're expecting the Brewmaster to be in the mid lane,
Yeah.
to which this Tide is going to have a very nasty surprise waiting for him. But as this pans out for this game, Sunzu, where is your money in terms of the draft?
I think Seppo has a very nice lineup. I don't know if VVV have to execute very well in order to make this work.
Indeed.
30 seconds
And I
to battle.
think. Wait, no. Yeah. I think it's gonna. The early game is gonna be fairly good for Seppo.
Well, for Seppo, I'm going to say, based on the draft alone, my money is on them as well. They have so much teamfighting control. It's going to come down to the first 10, 15 minutes, though, for VVV to make something happen. If they can rotate and gank and kill these heroes before they can start to build up this kind of teamfight death ball they do so easily have, it could easily go VVV's way, but Seppo have proven they know what to do. They've got all the way to the semifinals so far, so my money in this game is on Seppo.
So there's the dual off lane, Norte and Spin.
Well, Earthshaker and
It's-
Mirana is a very powerful lane. We've said this before. You go into a Fissure, and from the Fissure you land the arrow. This gives you time just to right-click, drop the Enchant Totem, and just drop the cataclysmically high damage that can burst out of an Earthshaker.
Yeah, but last time we saw Volix on the Brewmaster, they pretty much sacrificed him, or they said, you know, okay, you ran an aggressive lane against us, and we're just gonna sit back. We're gonna get everything out of the other lanes. And I think, was that lineup as well? No, that was with the Naga Siren.
Yes, they used
But
that
it
lineup
was a
before.
similar situation where Matumbaman is the actual threat in that lineup. And now again, how are they gonna deal with Matumbaman? They're not going to be able to harass him much or anything else.
Not going to be able to harass him much, and in team fights, well, hell, in the standard mid-game, when he's blinking around the map, he's going to be a very hard one to catch,
Yeah.
unless they really want to blow some kind of ultimate on him to stop him. I mean, they do have Moonlight Shadow to that effect, so they can sneak onto lanes with that, but it's still going to be relatively unpleasant. And we can already see Spin coming in just to take away from the pull camp here. Nuerti backing up, so there's no surprises of Thompson or Varlix
You might have
rotating in.
even been worth considering a very old school off-lane Enigma.
Then again, what
in
I said
order
about
to-
Varlix rotating in, they're going to go on to Spin. The Wraith Fire Blast is there, as well as the Cake Stomp, and that's going to be first blood. I'm honestly surprised he hung around and let himself get caught out like that.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad mistake. But if they'd put the Enigma on the off lane, they could have had ES and Mirana roaming, and that could have
Dire's
set up
middle tower
kills
is
on
under
the Tinker quite easily.
I can understand that. I can certainly understand
Lapis is warding up the Ancients.
that. He also dewarding, so they know
Yeah.
all about it already. He's not going to be able to stack it. He knows he's not going to be able to stack it, so he's not going to waste time trying.
Yeah.
On that note, the Tinker, in all intent and purposes, this one has top of the board in terms of last lives in the first few minutes, and he's trying to make the Tide's job as unpleasant as possible just with the laser spam, but Anchor Smash doesn't care about the...
He's
the
already
miscaps
got
at
the
this point.
smoke, and he's got the Soul Ring flying out. Technically, when he hits level 5, he could have used one of Venividovic's favorite tactics against him and just smoke into that Roshan. There's no vision of him, so they don't know what he's doing. They just assume he is in the jungle. He could easily get in there and take that Rosh, even if it's rather risky, because there's no reason for Venividovic to ever go check it.
Well, you think the level 5 Enigma kind of surprise that we've expected out of Veni
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I say it is because Thompson does it all the time on Veni Vidi Vici. And
but
that,
it takes
like
a significant amount of time, and using their own tactic against them, they know it better than anyone else. Surely they're going to check it.
I don't know if they would.
Really?
And it's such an odd,
Meantime,
odd thing.
getting initiated on, and this is most likely going to be the death of the Tide. Nuerte can't come in and stop this aggression in any quick amount of time.
I mean, if you know one of your players does something that even you consider borderline insane, do you actually expect anyone to take after him?
Maybe, but to an extent, I think it'll be pointed out at least by VVV. You would surely think they'd realise their own strategy when they see it. And Nota's
No,
usually
but
wants
they
to
can't
put
see
tabs
it.
in
They can't see it because they have no idea where Lapis is. Like, he can be farming that jungle, but okay. Well, do they have wards with them now? They're rotating. They do a sentry, but yeah.
They got a sentry so they can block a camp, but they have nothing to give them any excess vision.
Yeah.
But surely they would realise that if they don't see the Enigma rotate past this ward in a reasonable amount of time, it could be a bit of a dead giveaway. In all honesty.
Maybe.
And you said it just takes near insanity. The line between genius and insanity is very blurred. In the meantime, Sifler in this mid lane, he's 19 for 7 in terms of last in the ice.
He's trying to stack it. Oh.
Wait, Matuberman tried to stack the
Ancients, yeah.
with an illusion, surely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say he wasn't going to invest the time.
But the ward is still up.
Yeah. But we do have the solving of.
He should have known it was still there, though.
Yeah, he should have. Maybe he wasn't paying attention to the time of when it was put down.
Yeah.
Again, we do have Thompson and Nota rotating around again. They want to try to get the jump ins here. And all it would take is one good Wraith Fire Blast to spell the doom for Sifler here. But Sifler does have a good amount of souls to his name. He's up on 20 souls, so his right click is quite fierce at this point. But no, it's going to be another catch. Sifler stunned out, but they're not going to dive under the tower for this. We already had the rotation coming up from Nuerte as well, so this was going to be very rough should they have tried for the kill.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see that they throw the Tide Hunter up top instead. I guess that one death was all they wanted to stomach from that lane.
Well, the Tide had no real means of escaping it. Even with the point in Kraken Shell, it was going to be very rough.
Yeah, but I mean, if the Tide dies there, then putting the Shadow Fiend there, he's going to be even easier to take down.
True, but one of the best lanes for a Tide is up against a Faceless Void.
Yeah.
I mean, Tide against any melee carry is going to be problematic.
Yep.
Sifler, he has that range that the Tide lacks. He can right-click in from a distance, so he may not be so easy a target as a Tide in terms of rotating in.
And they were just looking for the ward at the ancient camp, but it's already died. So
Indeed, but this ward here won't block it.
now they can start stacking. Yeah.
But we do get TP's mid. Borgi is coming in. He does have that Ravage. Nuerte is here. They don't have the Echo Stun, but it's not going to matter. The damage comes through from the Earthshaker and Sifler's Razor. It's going to be more than enough. But now comes the Ravage. They're going to go on to Thompson for 2. If they can get this, it's going to be very nice. That's 2 kills going the way of Seppo, as well as specifically one on Sifler, on the Shadow Fiend. There's one thing you want to be very careful with when a Shadow Fiend's on the board, and that's giving him any excess kills or gold. He snowballs faster than most heroes.
Yeah. And once he gets those key items up, especially once he has like a Satanic, he becomes unkillable after that point.
In the meantime, Matuberman does have his bottle up, as well as 1,000 gold in his pocket. So he's only going to be about 2 to 3 minutes at most away from his full travels. And with those travels up, this is where it starts to get problematic for Seppo, because how do they then catch the Tinker when he's coming around with travels? It's going to be very rough.
They don't really, though.
They can't.
They don't.
The only way they could do it is with Moonlight Shadow. And Moonlight Shadow wasn't skilled at 6, which is something that I was expecting, the early Moonlight Shadow, so they can rotate and round and gank with the potential Ravage, the Requiem of Souls, the Echo Slam, all of it is very powerful, and being underutilized at this point in time.
Their ways of catching out the Tinker is they're gonna need like a Blink Dagger into a long-range Fissure from the Earthshaker. Set that up into a Sacred Arrow.
That can work in bringing down the Tinker. But
Yeah.
Matuberman is farming pretty damn decently. He's going to have those travels up, and when he has his travels up, his Blink Dagger's not going to be far behind.
Yeah, he's gonna be very hard to control. It's just...
That's my main worry here for Seppo. It is going to
It's
be on
actually...
Matuberman.
It's quite interesting that even as we've seen him play Tinker twice now, and Storm Spirit isn't entirely out of the question in this meta, he's still not had to... I don't think Storm Spirit has even been banned out against this Tinker.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, it is the classic counter to Tinker.
True, you Storm can get in on the Tinker's face very quickly and just start to bring him down.
Radiant
Other
structures are
ones of
fortified.
merit. Nick's Assassin, to an extent, is pretty damn decent against the Tinker. If you can predict where the Tinker's going to go, you can get in there with a Vendetta and you can cause all manner of problems. Then again, Long Range Arrow is going to fly past. Unfortunately, it threads the eye of the needle and will completely miss everyone. Valak didn't even flinch when that came past as well. But then again, if that arrow did connect, who's going to be here to help spin out? There's no one to back him up. Equally though, mid lane,
he's
Syphilis
just
starting to continue to gain farm and
trying
accelerate.
to stall him a bit.
Well, I can understand trying to stall him a bit, but what can they actually capitalize with? There's no TP on Nuerte. Syphilis, sure, he has a TP, but he wants to continue farming up. Bruggy does have a TP, but Ravage I don't think would be enough to commit just after the arrow alone. Especially when you've got Thompson backing him up on that bot lane.
Well, I mean, they have a heavy team fight lineup, and they don't have the Requiem, they don't have the Echo Slam yet, so, and well, to a lesser extent, they don't have the Moonlight Shadow yet. So they don't want to fight quite yet. So, in that sense, just stalling and trying to hold your own ground is quite enough.
Well, we're going to have a good stack going the way from Matuberman, so this is going to accelerate his gold growth exceptionally well, especially considering he already has the travels online, as well as 800, 900 gold available to him. So everything's starting to pay off for Matuberman.
Yeah, but on the downside of that, the Ancients are warded up again.
True, the Ancients are warded again, but
so
honestly, with Tinker, Matuberman starting to rotate around the map, and Bruggy being forced to blow the Ravage defensively to try to escape, it's pretty much exactly where they want to be. You consider VVV already have a Blink Dagger available on the Brewmaster. They already have travels available on the Tinker. Sony on the Tide is, on the Void is farming it exceptionally well. He's got 1600 gold to his own name. Potentially could go for a Midas if he wanted it, although I feel like it might be a poor idea in this game, considering early aggression may be the name of the game to try to stop Seppo from capitalizing on their ultimates.
Yeah. Well, they're still quite...
And a Midas. What can I say? We have a greedy player. Likes his Midas.
They're still a bit behind on their supports. I think they'd like a bit more. The
I
Wraith
completely
King
understand that.
doesn't matter that much. He's got level 4, so he can have some impact, but they want the Rasta, the Shadow Shaman wards.
True, they need the wards up on Thompson. Equally, they do need reincarnation out of Nota, who's even further behind. He's only level 4.
You can see the lack of the Shadow Shaman wards, and that they've barely done anything to the towers yet.
True, and Matuberman's doing his best to keep the lanes pushed, but then where does Thompson find his experience? He needs to really get it from the jungle. Then again, we get it from kills, we get that smoke popped. But where do we go with the smoke? Do we try to find the Shadow Fiend? That would probably be the easiest target in the mid lane, but there is backup nearby from Bruggy if he can get on target. And Sifla has no idea what's coming from at this point in. He's got 36 souls to his name, though, and level 1 Requiem. So he could potentially do some damage, even though level 1 Requiem is pretty lackluster.
He's got a lot of unreliable gold as well, and he's going for that BKB, so if they get a kill here,
it's going to be pretty damn big. And
Yeah,
you can already see there's a ward down here, and it's still going to reveal everything. And now Sifla forced back.
Bye.
Nota gets the stun. A couple of right clicks through. They could get the courier as well here if they continue for it, but no, they don't get it in time. But in comes Lapis, gets the black hole, but the Panda does manage to split in time. Certain wards drop now. Lapis taking a good amount of damage from the other Panda and the wards. Has a double kill for Thompson, but now Spin comes in, right clicking away at Thompson. He'll go down to one more right click coming out of Nota on that Earthshaker. And you also have a Tide and Tornado in the back. But in comes Son with that Chronosphere, right clicking away. Nota's going to be the victim considering the presence of the wards. And in comes Valix off the back of that with another keg drop. And another kill going the way of VVV. Now looking for Boogie. Can they get it? There's one more rockets would be more than enough. In comes the jump from Son. A couple of right clicks, but no Kraken Shell. Plus the Anchor Smash is far too much keeping him alive. But Keg Stomp does not give a damn about that. That's going to be effectively a full 5-man wipe in favor of Vendi VDVC.
They spent so much killing that Wraith King and the Shadow Shaman. The wards were already dropped, so the Shadow Shaman going down didn't matter. The Wraith King, well, he's just a ball of health right now, and the stun, so...
Indeed he is, and he does almost have that level 6 though, that all-important level 6.
What? The Shadow Shaman, yeah.
I was talking about Nota on Wraith King. He's quite literally just a ball of health and stun. So you said this exact same thing, it applies to both of them. For the Shadow Shaman without the wards, yeah, he is very much the same. Can do a bit more damage with the Aftershock, but Valix could potentially be in a bit of trouble here. The Echo Sun's going to drop, doing some good damage, but there's the Hex, going to deter this chase, and could be a very bad position here for VVV to be in, if they're not careful. Could see rotations come through from Seppo at any point, and considering we do still have Ravage available, Moonlight Shadow is up, we've got Requiem of Souls, and on top of that we're going to have Echo Slam back up, as well as Black Hole in about 100 seconds.
I'm a bit concerned for this Mirana. She has a... When you run her as an offlaner, she has a tendency to not get a whole lot. Oh.
You weren't paying attention to the Roche pit. No. The Roche was quite easily taken by Sifla there, and in all honesty, this is the kind of thing the Shadow Fiend wants to find. Get a good stack of souls, get an early Aegis, and then look for BKB or some mobility. I'm thinking we're going to see the BKB and maybe a Blink Dagger. That helps set up the Requiem of Souls.
Yep.
Then again, he could forego the Blink Dagger, considering his team will have Blink Daggers to set up, and then he can just walk in and just channel the Requiem, drop a huge amount of damage. And you consider how scary Requiem of Souls can be if it's right on top of a black hole.
I think you still want it, because if you have to focus on whomever's close to you, you end up focusing the Wraith King quite easily, and that's just not the right hero to take out. You want to ignore the Wraith King for now, at least.
Bot lane, we do have the Serpent Wards drop. They're being cleaned up, though, by Spin on that Mirana, so a little bit of free gold his way.
A little bit.
A little bit. In the meantime, we do have a smoke picked up once more by Lapis, and with Black Hole coming up in 20 seconds, this could be another good opportunity here, especially considering they now have the mech online, and the next big item for the Enigma will, of course, be that all-important Blink Dagger.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, he's still way off that, but he can farm it up pretty fast.
Indeed, indeed, and I would think that would be what will be the order of business here for the Enigma. Especially considering he's only 1,000 gold away and he's already pushing this top lane. Going to have a bit of contested farm here with Son, but in comes Matuberman on that Tinker. This could be very good for them if Son can get the Chrono, but no, the last tick of Malefice stops the Chrono being thrown.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That Malefice just saved Enigma's life, I believe.
Indeed.
But in the meantime, we've got Matuberman continuing to jump around. Nota even will take a fall here, but he will reincarnate and come back up. Ravage is going to fly as well, though. Son needs to get the Chrono off, but he will go down before he can cast. Unfortunately, Thompson rotates in. They get the Hex on the Sifla, but now comes the point where they need to be very careful. Moonlight Shadow is up, of course, and the DDSF just beating down on that top tower. Sorry, on that mid tower. And laser flying as well, but it's just going to deter the fight for now.
And the first Dagon is up.
First Dagon is up again for that Tinker, yes. Very important to point out. If someone could have found a Chronosphere there, though, that would have been a 4-hero lockdown. That could have been huge.
Yeah, but, I mean, even if you would have found the Chrono, the rest of the team was so far behind that it would have been... The Chrono would have pretty much ended by the time they arrived. He might have. He would have still been alive though, but yeah.
Valix jumping on Noate, but the split does go off in time. This is going to be a very dead Earthshaker. Is he going to chase the spin, or is he going to wisely get the hell out of there? And I think that's going to be the order of business. He doesn't want to get caught when he comes out of that Panda split. It was very low on health when he went into it. Oh, the aggression across the board in this game is quite high. We're seeing a good flurry of kills now. And it's to be expected, honestly. We've got all those ultimates available. To be fair, we do have the Shadow Shaman wards up, so we could look for a push on the top lane. That would be the, I believe, next target for Vedividiv EC. Equally, though, Sifla is nearby. He does have that BKB available now. And where do we go next if it's not a Blink Dagger on this SF?
Well, surely it's going to be a Blink Dagger, though.
If it's not, though. Could he go for...
Desolator, maybe, or...
Desolator for more damage. An AC wouldn't go amiss, I suppose, in terms of...
I think you'd want the AC to come up on maybe the Tide, if you can farm it up.
Indeed, and Tide does have his Blink now, but still does lack the Arcanes.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the casual cloak, but does he want to build a pipe? Yeah, well, the pipe does a decent amount of work here.
True, the pipe does, and we do actually have both the... Tide and the Enigma lurking nearby. They may want to go for a smoke here with the Shadow Fiend. This is going to be potentially the mid tier 1 and a few pickoffs. Or they could rotate to the jungle, and Zone would be a very juicy target, but they would force the expenditure of at least one of the bigger ultimates.
And Matuma picking up that Ghost Scepter. It's pretty much the Excalibur build.
Very true, and you can see the pinks coming out immediately. They're going to go on Zone, but he's backtracked a good chunk of that damage already. And he doesn't really care too much when that backtrack actually pays off. But we do have that Mask of Madness now picked up by that Faceless Void. And it's certainly going to start becoming very scary for the lineup of Seppo if anyone gets caught within that Chronosphere. But still no Aghanims yet. We're going for a more greedy build so far. The Midas starting to pay off. We're getting into the territory where that Midas picked up about 10 minutes ago is going to start paying for itself soon enough.
Yeah. Well, Alex, what are you doing? Stealing creep waves. That's not very nice.
Well, to be fair, I'm not surprised. He's trying to bring the wave back in his favor, and you can already see the mass TPs going towards this top tier 2, and Matubaman's going to be the victim off the back of this. That Ghost Scepter does not save you from a Mirana, sir.
Well, it's a good amount of damage to a tier 2, but it wasn't worth losing your Tinker.
Lapis needs to be very careful here as well. He could potentially get jumped on by the Brewmaster, but they didn't have the vision due to the nighttime fall off. And equally, Aegis reclaimed in 25 seconds, and they haven't really made use of it on Sifla either. They haven't been in a position where Sifla's been really in jeopardy.
You might actually see the Shadow Fiend going for something else. It could actually also be a Dominator, I suppose.
Dominator could work on Sifla, since if they really want to go late, they'll then build into the Satanic and help out Sifla to a good extent. And one of the biggest weaknesses with Shadow Fiend is his health pool, which is why you tend to go for that earlier BKB to give us some HP at least, as well as the potential for the Satanic. He gets his damage, at least in the early game, from the Necromastery. He doesn't really need to pick up straight damage items.
Yep. But
now with 2,600 gold in the bank, still no pickup of the Blink, what's it going to be?
Oh, Brewmaster has completed his Ags.
Brewmaster has the Ags? Wow. That's going to be very powerful in terms of Valix. He's now going to be able to cast all of his spells inside his Panda Split, so that's going to be a double Keg Smash. And that's going to start doing a very scarily high amount of damage.
And the Rasta is only 300 gold, a bit more off of his Blink. So
very true, and we still have
chugging along quite nicely.
True, the teams are just chugging along quite nicely in this one. They don't really want to take the big fights to the minute, and they are punishing Matubaman's Tinker whenever they can. We've already seen a few kills on him. We'll take a quick look at the items across the board, though. Matubaman, is he going to go for the F-Blade at some point, or is he going to keep building towards that Dagon in the earlier game, you reckon?
I think the normal thing is the Dagon and then... Or no, the F-Blade and then Dagon too.
It's a very sad Earthshaker. Not really much you can do when you get caught out alone in a Chrono. But in the meantime, mid lane, potential for a fight here. We've got vision of Sifla, had BKB and TP away. Equally though, we do have the Mirana throwing down an arrow. It's going to impact on Thompson. That's going to be a 5-second stun, but there's going to be no way to capitalize off the back of that arrow.
Dire's top tower.
At least not
Using
without blowing the
industry.
Ravage, and they don't really want to. They got to be careful with this invis though. There are plenty of sentries in the vicinity.
Yeah.
And all it'll take is a little bit of a surprise here from VVV, realizing, yep, there's the sentry, but
There
in
he
comes
is.
the Tide, does get the Gush, instantly Hex though, as well as stunned out, but are we going to see the expenditure of Ravage? I don't feel it's needed. They're going to pick up the Shadow Shaman, and that's going to be the end of that. You can see Matubamun continuing to harass, but he's not going to get anything else off the back of this one. And again, we do have Nota and Valix in the vicinity nearby, potentially wanting to take a fight, but it's going to be a very, very dangerous fight to take, considering you got Black Hole, you got Ravage, you got Earth, Echo Slam even.
Yeah.
It's going to be very scary.
He seems to be building into the pipe, though.
This
the
is
side.
true, very true. He is building into the pipe. But this is a very curious build from Nuerte. What's your opinion on this? No point in the Enchant Totem.
Well, surely you need an enchant totem. Come on.
A single point just for the extra stun with the Aftershock, in my mind.
Yeah.
Equal though. We do
We've
have
seen
more items coming up.
great work come out of the enchant totem. Navi US, they
Yeah.
they are really sort of at the cutting edge of being creative with their Earthshaker and what it actually can do. And
I got to admit, I do like seeing Navi
Yeah.
US play that damn Earthshaker. Equally, though, we do have more items coming up, as I was going to mention. We have a Maelstrom available for the Marana, and potentially that'll be turned into the full Molnir at some point. However, there is the requirement in my mind of a BKB at some point for Spin. He is going to need it to survive, and the smoke is immediately revealed, and see Thompson blinking away. Are they going to go for the black hole? No, Lapis gets hexed out immediately, and in comes the Chrono on 2, but the Ravage catches 3. Equally, where's the black hole? Is Lapis going to survive this in time? Yes, he is, but he's caught in by a ward trap. Nota on the high ground. He's going to stay alive for a few moments longer. The Requiem did fly, and that is going to be enough to bring down the Shadow Shaman, but equally on the back foot of this, the Enigma does fall. I'm guessing to the Faceless Void. I'm guessing to the Tinker, but Faceless Void will take a fall to Bruggy, who's on a double kill now.
it was
So 2 for 1 trade.
Brewmaster split, actually.
Okay, Brewmaster split, but now they could equally find themselves a Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend, sure, he does have that BKB, and he's going to be forced to pop it here, and Nota will go down, but he's just going to reincarnate back up. Are they going to be able to bring him down a second time? The TP is immediately cancelled out by Nota, and that's going to be a second death for Nota on that Wraith King.
A slightly mistimed arrow, but it didn't matter.
Indeed. Equally though, Matubaman and Valix both did not die
And-
in that fight.
Aww.
Hmm?
You just missed him.
Miss what?
He's home.
The respawn. Yeah, okay, I see what you're on about.
They win in literally seconds before the respawn.
Well, it's not going to matter. Sifler
Yeah.
and crew are going to bring down Roshan in no large amount of time here. But where are we with the rest of VVV? We have, and I checked this a second ago, 3,700 gold on Matubaman. What the hell is he picking up here? Is this the F-Blade that I mentioned?
Yep.
Yep, that's the full F-Blade. They have the shotgun available, so that's a scary amount of burst, and Lapis is going to have to be very careful of that, because in my eyes, he's going to be the prime target, at least before he gets his BKB.
Yeah. The F-Blade it's very good at picking off single targets. It can control single targets in a fight, right? But against this lineup, they can do a lot of things to disrupt his ability to move around in that fight. So it might be a bit difficult for him to have all of that huge impact that he wants to have.
Very much so. And we'll take a quick look at net worth in the meantime. We've got 15,000 net worth near enough on the Tinker, 12,000 on the Shadow Fiend, then 10k roughly onto the Brewmaster. So looking fairly decent in favour of Vendivisi, and we'll take a quick look at the graphs just to back up these facts. About 2,000 gold lead. This is probably one of the closest games we've seen so far in the tournament, and that's in favour of VVV. Equally
He went-
experience, actually in favour of Seppo, with about 1,000 experience lead.
Yeah, and the Shadow Fiend picked up the Manta second item, which is... Yeah.
Well, it's more unusual, but it's still a situational item that does work quite well. And Boogie going to go for the Gush onto Thompson, but in comes the F-Blade combo. It's not going to be anywhere near enough to bring down a Tide, though. Now we get the potential turnaround. Do we have the Chrono? Yes, we do, as well as the Surfboards on the top of this, as well as the Keg Stomp. In comes the Black Hole. That's going to catch on 3, but it's immediately cancelled out by the Storm Pattern since he's not affected, and Sifler will fall. Aegis is forced, and now this is potentially going to be a very bad situation for them to be in. No Black Hole. Do they have Requiem? That's one thing they do have, and it is a level 3 Requiem, but With Moonlight Shadow up, it's going to be a disengage, surely. Serpent Ward's not going to be able to do much else, but now they catch. There's a double kill on the back foot as we have Nota on catching and bringing down the other 3 heroes, and that's what you get for a split fight. I'm not paying attention, but Sifla will be the target now. He's going to be forced to BKB and TP away. Thompson, however, is going to look for the Enigma, but he's going to blink away. And Sifla will take a full. What cancelled the TP?
Had to have been the Void, right?
Had to have been the Void with a bash. I mean, that has to have been a lucky bash.
Yeah.
Apparently they've got a horseshoe wedged somewhere. I can't see any other reason for a lucky bash, considering I don't think we've seen many bashes in this game.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Oh well.
Very good
sometimes
fight,
you get
though,
lucky.
back of that for VVV. Sometimes you do get lucky. But of course this is a best of 3, I'll point this out. This is not a best of 1.
Dire's structures
It's still not by any means over for Sep, but it was just...
No, the gold
that was one
very
bad
close.
fight, but it was... Yeah.
It's a bad fight, but it's still only a 3k lead in favor of Vendivida VC right now.
That's going to make it a lot harder, though.
That fight will make it harder, yes. That's going to bring the experience back in favor of VVV.
I was more meaning the Black King bar up on the Faceless Void.
Ah, I see. Okay.
He's going to have a lot easier time just getting off those initiations now.
Indeed. And, well, we're going to have Ultimates back online for Seppo very soon. They've got 90 seconds on the Black Hole. That's probably their longest one. They do still have the Ravage, which didn't get expended in that fight. It's all going to come down to if they can get this combo of Ultimates up. They still have Echo Slam, but it's a level 1 Echo Slam. It's still not going to be that powerful.
Yeah.
What else can we see? We've got Thompson lurking nearby. Oh, he is so close to seeing that Enigma. Can they see each other? No, they can't. Now they can. That's going to be a Hex straight onto the Enigma, and that's going to be a Ward Trap as well. This could potentially be a very dead Lapis, and there's the F-Blade combo bringing him down. Valak's on a dominating spree as well. 4-0 and 6.
Fighting Sifla at the top lane as well at the same time.
Aye, and Stone does get the Chrono. It's going to be very big. And Nota even blinks into the Chrono as well. Couple of stuns though, going to be more than enough, and that's going to be the end of the Tide with a end of the Void. Sorry, with a 5-second arrow coming out of spin.
Yeah, that was a bit overzealous.
It's what we've come to expect from this tournament so far. We see over-aggression, and we think, yeah, we're expecting over-aggression.
But I mean, there's so much mobility on Seppo. They have 3 Blink Daggers, and they have the Leap on the Mirana.
Very true.
They're going to catch up quickly, and he went on the only target that doesn't have a Blink Dagger, so the rest of the team is going to be there very fast.
True, and they could have even TP'd to this top tier 1 to get there even faster.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to be careful when you're fighting so close to the damn base. Equally though, we have the Ultimates coming back online. We have Roshan. Where is Roshan? Roshan's going to be respawning in a few minutes' time. Could be the next potential target if they don't want to push in for this mid lane. But pushing into this mid lane is going to be difficult. You've got the Tinker, who can drop the March of the Machines. You've got the threat of the Chronosphere. Serpent Wards are going to be up again very soon. 30 seconds on that. And again, Thompson needs to be very careful with his positioning. The Blink Daggers, as you mentioned, are a very big threat, and Thompson does need to be very wary of it.
They're sniffing out all the aggressive wards from Vici. They got the gem coming out on the side.
Well,
he's actually got a ward right next to him. If he was would have walked up a bit, and we could have. Yeah, there he goes.
Now we have the potential siege coming in the mid lane.
Yeah.
And the Tuberman's coming in as well, so they want to make a fight out of this. The arrow's going to fly long range. It's not going to impact on anything but a creep, unfortunately. And Nota's not going to be able to find the Wraithfire Blast.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Still a little bit of a stalemate. They don't really want to jump in on each other quite yet. This tower's going to fall in a very short order. They may even commit the wards for this one if they just want to be certain. Yeah, there we go. Wards are going to drop. That's a guaranteed tower now. Not quite the deny, almost from the Enigma.
Tower has fallen.
It's a bit interesting that for all the mobility that Seppo has, VVV is actually even more mobile.
Very true. They've got the Time Leap. They've got the Blink Daggers up.
Yeah.
And most importantly, they got Travels on the Tuberman.
4 blinks. Not bad.
Very true, very true. Equally though?
I think it might be slowly time to revert that change to Blink Dagger.
You mean the mana cost?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
everyone
become
is picking
absolutely obligatory the way it is right now.
True. The Blink Dagger change has made it such a versatile item. Pretty much every support you see these days will go for a dagger. Shadow Shamans, even Shadow Demons, they all like the dagger.
Probably also one of the changes that would hinder all these massive ulti lineups a bit.
Very true. Since then they have to keep in mind the mana cost of the Blink Dagger all times as well. It was the main reason that, as we see another play in the mid lane, we get the Echo Slam dropping, a long range arrow is going to fly, but that's a Chrono. On 2, Noete is going to fall during this, but equally so does the Shadow Shaman. And Boogie's sitting waiting right here with the Ravage, but he's going to get tornadoed up. Are they going to go for the Black Hole instead? I don't think they're going to be able to find it, and even if they use it, who are they going to catch? They're going to go for Sown, but is this a really wise one? They're all fighting within the market machines. He's trying to think for the Ravage, but it's not going to be an easy one. Thompson gets stunned out, but Sifla will respond, and in comes the Ravage. That's going to be the end of the Shadow Shaman once more, and now comes the Black Hole, just committed for Nota. That's a bit of an expenditure, but equally Valix walks into it, and now here we go. Do we have the split available? No, we don't, but they're going to have more than enough with that Thunderclap being able to clean up Lapis. Now, equally, they're going to look for Boogie, and with that S-Blade combo as well as the laser, they're going to have more than enough magical damage to burst down that damn Tide Hunter.
And I think he had that gem for all of 2 minutes.
About 2.5 minutes, something along that line, yeah. I was going to say, we're getting into territory where we're going to need to start to see some of the bigger team fights, and that one in the middle of the river and near no objective, a very rough place to fight, considering you got high ground on either side. No team would have an advantage. It's a very rough place to fight.
Yeah. They just... I mean, they have these big ultimates, but there's very little follow-up outside of the Shadow Fiend.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Very true, but and now, even then...
Whoa, Valix popped the BKB for that? I don't know why, but...
Hey, if you get a BKB, you might as well pop it.
I suppose.
Why are you going to buy items if you aren't going to use them? Come on, man.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
In the meantime, with all the ultimates down, that in my mind is the time for VVV to start considering pushing this. I mean, Echo Slam's going to be up shortly, sure, 25 seconds on that. Moonlight Shadow in 15, but Ravage a whole minute. Requiem still available, sure, but Black Hole down for 100 seconds. That's a pretty big window of opportunity for VVV, and I'm surprised they didn't push that harder. Equally, you've got Nota lurking around.
At the same time, they don't really need to. And after Valix popped that BKB, that might have actually been just a miscommunication.
Could have been.
Valix saying, let's go in and I'll pop my BKB, I'll take the front line.
I think they could have committed to that without the use of BKB, though. There is nothing that was scary enough to warrant using it at that point, but now we get another arrow from Spin. Thompson's going to avoid it, but... Oh, Nota! Oh, how close was that?
He's just AFK.
Oh,
the luck of the AFK.
Yeah, I get that feeling, but now we get the Chrono in onto Boogie. They're going to try to burst down the tide, so there's going to be no Ravage present in this next fight. It's up in 10 seconds, so pretty good pick-off right there. Down for a whole minute now. And this is one hell of an opening for
He doesn't have buyback either.
That is a pretty huge point, actually. We're going to bring buyback status up for the majority of the rest of this game.
So even when the ulti comes back online, it's still 40 seconds.
And they've committed the Servant Walls for this, so they certainly want to start getting these towers down. And they're going to hit the arrow on Sown. Is this going to be the opportunity to go? I don't think they're going to be able to make much of it.
They can't follow it up.
Yeah, they can't follow up. They have the Ravage, sure, but the tide's still dead for another 30 seconds. They need the Black Hole, and that's not up for another 22 seconds. This is the problem when you have a team that relies on ultimates. Without them, you can do near enough nothing.
Yeah, and that tier 2 at the bottom lane bugs me. Come on, if you're trying to break the base, at least go split push that down.
I'd be inclined to agree with that. It's
almost
1,000 free gold, effectively.
Yeah.
And speaking of gold, we'll take a quick glance at the graphs. What was a fairly close game in terms of gold has now soared into a 10k gold advantage for Vendivida VC off the back of these teamfights and Roshans that we've seen in this game. Experience-wise, already climbing back up. What was below 0 in favour of VVV is now over a 12k lead. And we're going to arrows fly, looking for the Tinker. Going to impact on Matubaman. 5-second arrow. And now comes the Blinksing. Can they find him? Can they capitalise on this? Spin's going to leap in. They catch him with another stun, but they still don't have vision. Now comes the Midnight Pulse, and that's going to reveal him. The Malefice is going to be enough to bring him down, and down goes Matubaman. I believe that's what you call a clusterbuck. Either way, Roshan is back up, and he is going to be the order of business here. And who do you put the Aegis in this this scenario?
I mean, it has to be a Shadow Fiend still.
Aye, the Shadow Fiend's still fairly fragile.
Because, like...
Equally, though, we do get the Ravage popped, and in comes the Black Hole on 1, 2, 3. They're going to catch Sown in it as well. He leaps straight into the Black Hole, and he's just going to get brought down. So Nota will respawn, but equally, though, he cannot survive this level of damage. And Matubaman's doing what he can, but equally, they cannot contest this Roshan anymore. Talk about swings and roundabouts in this game.
Did two people just jump into a black hole?
Yes, two people just blinked into a black hole. So
that was one of those. Let's go! Oh no!
If what happened to Matuberman was a clusterbuck, that was clearly. I've got no. What in Divinity's Edge was that? I have no real words for that. We'll roll with it. That was a pretty damn good fight for Seppo 13, and they still didn't use Requiem of Souls, which is one of their bigger burst damage abilities.
Sifla, what are you doing?
Sifla has himself the Aegis of the Immortal, of course, with 6,000 gold, as well as what did he just buy? He just bought something. On the courier, we have a full helmet of Dominator and a Satanic recipe, yeah. So we're getting the item that we called earlier. The full Satanic coming up on him. Good investment of the gold in my mind. He didn't need the extra damage or evasion coming out of the butterfly. He needed the lifesteal in my mind.
Yeah, he'll probably go pick up the butterfly next, though, so it'll come up eventually.
Equally, though, this is going to be a bit of a fallback here from Seppo. They finally cracked that tier 1 in the mid. That's been up for 40 minutes near enough. That's about damn time that tower went down.
I mean, all that Satanic, it's not going to help much. I expect the Tinker to probably go into Scythe of Wise next, since he's already completed his Dagon 5. And
he has the F-Blade as well. He has his burst. Now he just needs control. Either that or the other one of note would be a Shiva's Guard.
Yeah, no, but you want the...
You want the control. You want the lockdown. Yeah. I'd be in complete agreement. But after the back of that interesting trade and team fight, we'll take a quick look at the graphs again, since you can see just the swings that these fights have been impacting in this game. That's dropped the 10k lead down to under 5k. Experience-wise as well, that is a sharp decline in terms of experience, back to nearly the 0 mark.
Yeah.
Quite a staggering turn of events here in this game, and it is by no means over. This has the potential to go very late. Hell, dare I utter it, this even has the potential for certain 6,200 gold cost items.
Oh, come on now.
It does have the potential for it, I'm only saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Boogie, in the meantime, he's continuing to control and farm up as best he can. What items do we see coming up across the board for these teams? We've got, for Valix, I should think maybe the AC will be brought up on him. For Son, he's got potential to pick up the butterfly off the... Oh, it's missing kills. What's going on up here? We have a pick-off onto the Shadow Shaman off the back of a Earthshaker, I believe. And equally, though, a push on this top lane. And hello. This is going to be a Moonlight Shadow. They're looking for the fight, but everyone's backing off. They don't want to get caught out of position, and everyone is just running for their lives. Even popping the Mask of Madness to get the hell out of dodge. And we're going to be looking for a butterfly on Zone, as I can go back to my initial thought, now that they've given me a break in the action. Items coming up for Thompson. From there, he's going to be looking for the Aghanim Scepter. We have for the Tinker... We both think it's going to be the Scythe of Ice for Nota. We've got potential for a 4-star coming up next from him off the back of that Blink Dagger. For Seppo, however, 4-star coming up for Nota. For Spin, we've got that full Mjolnir. We've got that BKB we were saying. He's even carrying the cheese. Where do we go from there? Maybe the Desolator onto Spin, which would then free up Sifla to pick up another item.
Yeah, the Desolator seems to be a pretty good choice.
Yeah, and for Lapis, maybe even Boots of Travel, so he can make sure he's in all of these fights.
Yeah, it works well with the Presence of the Dark Lord.
Indeed it does. And so now, well, where do we go from here? Where's the next objective going to be fought? Because we're seeing pickoffs in the jungle and no real focus towards a tower at this point in the game. Equally, though, we'll quickly check Roshan's respawn time.
Roshan is so far off still.
It's still a good amount of time away. But now we get Thompson being potentially initiated on. The Hex is going to be there. And now Thompson needs to escape. Raise 1, connects, but is there enough to chase here? We see potential for Nota to come into the back of this one. We've got Matuberman in the vicinity dropping rockets already. Thing is, you've got the entire side of Seppo ready to fight.
Yeah, but I think this is pretty telling that VVV, they don't want to fight yet. They want to just keep on farming up.
Equally, though, Seppo are doing very much the same. They're starting to siege towers down now and looking for tier 2s of their own. They've been at a tower disadvantage this entire game. This is effectively going to be a way to recover the gold differential that this game has had on them. I mean, we can look at the graph. It shows these towers will equal it to a 0 again.
Yeah, it's especially when you consider that the Tinker doesn't have buyback, the Void doesn't have money for buyback, and neither of the supports have money for buyback. So you really don't want to fight right now if you're VVV.
Indeed, and buybacks are going to be so important in this game. It is going to go without saying, if they don't have buybacks, they're going to lose their racks and base in no time at all. Then again, Matuberman's buyback is up in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
He used it earlier when he came back into that fight. I believe he died again nearly instantly, though, off the back of that fight.
Yeah, it wasn't really successful
Buyback at all. But we've got 3k gold available for Sifler again. He's going to hold for buyback, as we mentioned. But what item do you go next for on this Shadow Fiend once the Aegis expires?
I still say the Butterfly is a pretty good choice.
Now he's got the Satanic to tank up, certainly. I think the Butterfly could certainly be the option here. Equally, though, MKB would be a very important item, considering we have a Butterfly present on Sohn.
Yeah, but I don't think the Void is your main target. Sohn is just... Yeah. Sohn is just being annoying.
I don't know.
One more item, and then he can sort of legitimately compete for being the main target in the fight. But
whenever I see a Void with a Midas, with a Butterfly, Mask of Madness as well, you can never really call him an annoyance. He is going to have quite an impact on this game, and especially this next fight. As we get all of the blinks forward, Thompson, he's going to be obliterated instantly. A mega kill now available for Sifler. And he's 8-2 and 11. This Shadow Fiend has paid off, and I did not see this pick coming. It has paid off tenfold so far.
Yeah. It's just a really, really powerful hero. And
indeed it is.
Especially at that sort of... I mean, he'll fall off eventually, but for now at least, he's the absolute king.
He is the biggest problem at this point for VVV, bar of course the Ravage and the Black Hole. The damage all comes from this Shadow Fiend. Mirana's damage isn't small by any stretch of the imagination, but Shadow Fiend, when you compare the damage sources, Shadow Fiend is dealing over 250 damage a swing, and he attacks pretty damn sharpish.
Tinker actually has the money for his Scythe of Device, but he still needs a bit more to have his buyback on top of that.
But I can't see him sacrificing the buyback, but this tier 2 is going to be falling in a very short amount of time. But then we get the Blink Dagger in. And Sohn going to go for the Chronosphere here, but there's a Black Hole on 2, as well as a Ravage on the high ground, going to go for Matuberman. And this is a big fight across the board, and we get the Requiem of Souls winding up. It doesn't clip Nota, but it's going to be more than enough to do some good damage. And they're going to bring down the Brewmaster as well, so that's going to be a 3-for-1 trade, as well as a tier 2 in favor of Seppo 13. They're even clearing up the wards. The wards were dropped, and they had no effect on that team fight whatsoever. And now we've got a buyback on the Earthshaker. They want to come back in and siege this. They want to go high ground against VVV. They want to take the first blood. Now you've got Sifler. Look how aggressive he's being. Just coming up on the high ground, right click after right click. Lapis tries to come in and cause problems as well, but he gets hexed out and will potentially go down under the towers. Look at the damage onto Sifler. They're going to force the kill onto Shadow Fiend. He doesn't have an Aegis. He's down dead for a good 88 seconds. He does have a buyback, but do they really want to spend buybacks going up for a tier 3? And this is another point I'm going to say. Why didn't they just siege the tower? They went for kills inside the base.
Yeah, that was a really questionable choice, but you said the Shadow Shaman wards didn't have any impact. They're still level 2, and there's no upgrade on them.
Level 2, no Aghanims.
He's looking for a BKB, I think, and it's the Ogre Club generally signifies that. So.
We were actually wrong with the Tinker, by the way. The Tinker did not opt for the Scythe of Vice, not opting for the control at all. We have a Bloodstone. A very late Bloodstone, and this is a curious choice. What's your opinion on this one?
I considered it for a while, but then after the Satanic pickup on the SF, I was pretty sure it was going to be Scythe. I mean, it gives you sustain, it gives you a lot of regen, but no, I think the Scythe of the Wise is more
important than a Bloodstone. I would be inclined to agree. You get your regen from the Scythe of Ice for mana at least, and sure the Bloodstone will give you some.
It's okay, Norty dies to help him make that Bloodstone worth it.
True, dies in the mid lane. I'm guessing he got initiated on by Matuberman. I actually missed that one completely.
You got to take those sacrifices.
Indeed, and well, this game is certainly. I'll point this out. This is game 1 in a best of 3. This could be one hell of a matchup. You're regretting what it's going to do to your voice tomorrow, aren't you?
Oh, maybe
yeah.
Just a bit.
Oh, don't worry. You get used to it, man. In the meantime, for Boogie, we do have that gem on him. He's got his pipe, he's got his blink dagger. Still no AC present for anyone on Seppo in... yeah, well, I say that. We see a straight AC picked up by Cephala.
Well, that's interesting because the Tide actually has... They're opting to get the AC on Cephala, while the Tide had 5,000 gold.
True, that is
so
a curious
the Tide
choice.
is going to go into...
He's got a Reaver now. Going to mean he can be frontline.
We saw that yesterday as well.
Indeed, we did. I don't know.
I think that's a bit curious.
Yeah, this is
I think the Butterfly would have done more for the SF.
I was talking to Nota about this after the games yesterday, and he mentioned that he can understand why the Tide did it, but he said that the Shivas would have been better, if you recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Hart will certainly mean he can be frontline, tank up a bit more. Equally try to survive the Blade Dagon blast coming out of that Tinker, which is by no means a small amount of damage. And that Heart now complete as well. We're getting into the ultra late game stages of Dota. This is where buybacks are the single most important thing. Keep that in mind. And we don't have buybacks for the Shadowfiend. We don't have a buyback on the Void or the Tide for that factor. And well, the 5-role supports, the Wraith King and the Earthshaker are both pretty poor, but they're not going to have a buyback for this one. Hell, Earthshaker has spent his buyback, so he's on a cooldown, let alone not having the gold. But now where do we go? It's going to be Roshan time again. Cephala, he wants the Roshan, but what does he drop for the Aegis? What do you feel is the most comfortable thing to lose there? Notice coming in, and they need to be very
it has
careful
to be the power treads.
Indeed, you'd think it'd be the treads, and now we get the primal split going in. Cephala going to start to get bursted down. Roshan alive, half health. That's a good thing to keep in mind. BKB, Requiem of Souls, not going to do too much, but now we've got the potential for a Chrono. They're going to come in, they're going to go for Cephala. Cephala will go down. Ravage is going to be there, but it's not going to be enough. And now they get the Chrono on Lapis. He was about to Black Hole, I believe, and that's just going to chip him away. He's not going to be able to get the Black Hole off, considering he's just going to get bashed down to death. And Nuerta is going to try to bring down Matubaman, but Matubaman says, hell no, and blasts him with that Ethereal Blade Dagon, and now Spin, the only one still standing, uses the cheese, leaps out. He's going to be stuck in the tree for a few seconds. He doesn't have a TP either, so he's going to be stuck here for a good amount of time. Black Hole PGG strikes again, twice in the tournament so far, and Nota will take a second death. Valix comes back in though, looking for Lapis. Not going to be a very easy one, especially when you've got Boogie there with his potential right click. No, Matubaman says hell no again. Earthblade Dagon burst. Far too damn strong for that Enigma to cope with. And Boogie even having difficulty with it. It's going to take a good few Dagon blasts, but he is going to fall eventually here to Matubaman on a double kill, unstoppable spree, and a Gem of True Sight on the deck as well. Trade after trade, back and forth in this game. This is exactly what we wanted to see.
To be fair, that Bloodstone region enabled him to actually do that much work.
Very true. He has got 14 charges on that Bloodstone now as well. So
Necro
3. What did he just leave in the base? Sol Ring.
Yeah,
he
Sol
left
Ring.
the Sol Ring, and so now
he had Sol Ring and Ball, and
yeah. With the Bloodstone, I suppose he doesn't need the Sol Ring and Bottle anymore. So I expect him to sell those off actually. And with the Necro 3 now picked up, hell, he may even leave the Necro 3 in the base while it's on cooldown. Who knows?
It's okay. Rasta has BKB.
Dire's top tower.
Rasta has a BKB. I suppose, and it's going to be Roshan this time going the way of Benevidi VC for the first time in this game, I believe. Even using the Earthblade Dagon to bring Roshan down as quick as possible. And with Aegis and Cheese, this is the 4th Roshan of the game. Arrow going to fly through, misses Soam by a millimeter. And even if it did impact, I don't think they could have followed it up with anything. They don't have the Heroes Alive. They don't have the ultimates to commit on the side of Seppo. And, well, this is going to be a very dodgy graph, but look at that, up and down, all the way across the board. And, again, a 5k gold advantage now in favor of VVV. Experience-wise, 6k. It's still a very close game. It could go either way. Sure, it's a set of racks in favor of VVV, but one set of racks is nothing at this stage in the game. 2 would make it at least feel more comfortable for VVV, but nothing is over until the Ancient dies.
Yeah, Soam is starting to have quite a bit of gold in his bank as well. He's getting to that one more item that's going to absolutely put him over the top of, like, you have to deal with him at that point. And
what are we going to see item-wise next for Soam anyway? What is the item that you're waiting for?
I guess MKB, maybe, or no, Mjolnir, or...
Mjolnir could work, and on the topic of items, we do have a Eye of Skadi picked up by Spin, so she's going to be a little bit more tanky on that Marana now, and it's going to be very effective actually in reducing the attack speed of the Faceless Void and, well, to an extent, the damage coming out of him. But the big problem here is for this Tinker. This Tinker not really going to be affected too much by the Eye of Skadi, except for the movement speed slow. But still, he's going to have that blink tag. He's going to be moving in and out of the fights, and it's going to be very problematic here for VVV certainly. But I reckon they have the advantage going into this next fight. Then again, Seppo do have all of their ultimates starting to come online, and it's going to be very scary in the next few minutes. Very tense as well, considering Aegis is in the hands of VC.
Just a bit of cheeky harass.
Indeed, indeed.
But yeah, most of VVV is smoked up here.
Aye. And we'll take a quick look at the network just for the impact here.
There's a king on this hill.
Really? Remind me to deal with your humor later. Well, he's acting as a pseudo ward right now, and they can see Boogie coming into this fight. Are they going to be able to engage on this, though? That's the question. Ravage is there. Tide knows about this, and they're going to go for Nota. Now it's going to be a Tide versus a King on the hill, and now in comes the split. This is going to be one hell of a brawl, and we even have Chrono available. We're going to throw the Chrono. Here comes the Requiem, but it's going to be cancelled out by Zone on that Faceless Void. But in comes the Black Hole. BKB Black Hole catches 2. But is it going to be enough? In comes Spin. Ravage is going to drop. Nota on the back, but Matuberman stunned out to boot. Do they have the ability to keep fighting this one? Echo Slam on 2. And Matuberman goes down. Note doing a hell of a good job on this one. But Zone will turn around and just bring down Note. Equally, Valek's forced to use the cheese and just right click after right click. Can they finish him off? Sifler came back into this fight. I believe he used his buyback. Yes, he did, and he will manage to clean up that damn Brewmaster. The only man still standing is Zone, and he still has that Aegis and the Immortal. But in comes Matuberman. He's going to be able to bring down that Enigma. Are they going to go for more on this one? It's going to be very rough, considering how tanky Boogie is. The blast coming out of Matuberman is certainly a fair amount, but if they're going to be able to continue this, is going to be a very important question to us, since Zone still has the Aegis, and another kill from Matuberman. Holy hell, man. He has no limits. He's just turning around and going nuts. Now they're looking for a kill on him, but he needs to get the hell out of it. He's going to be able to blink out in time with the travels, but in comes Zone. He's starting to do work on Sifler, but the Tide is still here. Can drop the Anchor Smash and reduce the damage. And guys, give me a break. This is gonna kill me. Matuberman in the trees finds the Shadow Fiend. 115 seconds he's now dead for. Buyback on cooldown, and they're pinging the throne. They want to go for the tier 4s. They can certainly manage it, but can they do it in time? We're going to have Enigma up soon. They don't have the Black Hole. They don't have the Echo Slam. This is probably the best opportunity they have.
There's on the Brewmaster as well, so he's back in the fight.
Well, they're going for the tier 4s. If they can get this, it's going to most likely be game, but still.
Daedalus.
Daedalus? Who's got Daedalus?
Void.
Faceless Void? Yeah, not on his infantry at least, and they're going to use Prize Split. They're just going to stand there. GG is called. Yeah. VC will take game number 1 against Seppo. And, well, this is a best of 3. We've got to do this all over again. That was a hell of a game, and
yeah,
I can't really say anything else other than that.
It's interesting to see that they still had such a huge impact, even though that Shadow Shaman, we were talking about how he was barely felt in the fights.
Yeah, he fell
in that last fight. Spin was he just came from behind, and he just, with the Skadi, he just clicked him down before he did anything at all.
It was very rough for him.
Okay.
He was basically a walking hex. The wards tickled at that stage of the game, but still, they did everything
You bought
they
a
could.
BKB, I don't really care.
Pretty much.
Whatever.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned, this is a best of 3. We're going to be back in a few minutes' time with game number 2. We're going to take a few minutes and catch our breath, and we hope you join us. We'll see you in a few. Best of 3 game, and this is game 2 between VC versus Seppo 13. Yeah. For the most part, I hope that we're refreshed, recovered, and reloaded, ready to go into the next game, considering the first one took quite a bit out of us, I think, or at least out of my voice. So I was talking to Nota between games. I asked him if he was trying to kill my voice. He said, yeah, we're trying to. So if they pick Enigma again, if they get Enigma again, they're certainly just intentionally trying to ruin me. But we'll roll with it. We'll roll
Yeah.
with it. Nota likes his jokes, and to be fair, we all love the Enigma with the black holes, so we can roll with that. But after the back of that game, do you have any expectations coming into this game?
Tinkerban.
Tinkerban.
I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, he was such a big presence. Like, he didn't have that much of an impact really early on, but especially, like, I talked a bit to Matumba after that game, and I asked him about, like, why the sheepstick, and he was like, nah, like, I needed the extra region and the extra HP in order to stay in the fights. And well, once he did pick up that, and yeah, he really used that bloodstone to full effect.
He did. I was worried that it was too late, but it certainly paid off right there.
Yeah, I mean, after he picked it up, I think he shot up almost directly to 13 charges or something like that. So
Yeah, off the back of that big team fight.
yeah.
And then he went absolutely nuts. I think it's just the only way to say it. He went completely insane and just shut down everyone.
Yeah.
But then again, that's game 1. This is game 2. Let's get into this. We've got a Doom band out, a Lycan band out, a Tide band out, and a Razor band out. No surprises there. But that's the first pick Nature's Prophet, and I did not expect that.
Yeah, that's a bit surprising.
This leaves Tide there, Shadow Shaman there, Brewmaster there. All of the control is there.
I think they'll pick up the brew gown because, you know.
Preventive
Yeah.
VC, it paid off in the
Yeah,
last
I
game,
mean,
certainly. He got very early
basically,
evidence.
Nota, we were discussing a bit with Nota, and he was like, he was guessing, you know, they're probably going to, or like, the Doom is probably going to be taken out in the first stage, and that means the Brew is left in, and the Brew is going to be very strong. And if you take Brew and Skywrath here,
Reserve time.
well, you've got a very, very strong combo. Or like, you deny the Skywrath from the opposing team, and the Skywrath can actually screw with the Brew quite a bit.
Ah, very true, very true.
Yeah,
But
so
do you reckon the first pick Nature's Prophet is a signifier that we're going to see a very heavy, all-in push kind of strategy to try to flip the tables on Venevid VC?
I don't know. The only reason I see for picking the first pick Prophet right now is if you want to try something like the Battle Prophet build that Vici Gaming likes to run.
Well,
Well, they got the Skywrath. They left out the Brew, so they went for the even stronger combo with Skywrath.
which is the Faceless Void, but
Yeah.
Faceless Void, we've seen him be punished in these games, and in an all-out. If
Well,
this
he
is
worked
an all-out
out.
push,
He worked out fairly well last game.
yeah, he did.
He didn't have the best early game, but after he got that BKB, he became more reliable in terms of initiating, and then slowly, once he had all of those items up, he became a real powerhouse as well. And he did. It was him and the Tinker who did the work.
Well, while Nature's Prophet may signify all-out push, and all-out push can work against the Void because it doesn't give him time to do anything, Ancient Apparition isn't the general hero you think about when you say
No,
all-out push.
no. This,
This is more global.
yeah.
What other global ultimates could you pick up there? The Spectre. Actually, the Spectre, while we may laugh, it is a viable choice.
Yeah,
here.
it's completely viable, and I know it's being run by some of these Finnish teams in scrims. We don't see it that much, but there's a bit of a different take to the Spectre that's been floating around. Actually, a dual offlane Spectre.
A dual offlane Spectre. Does that could that actually work?
Yeah, you run into the the drums, and I mean you can't go for the Radiance.
Drums Diffusal Blade then, the old style.
Yeah.
Okay, Drums Diffusal Blade, then Manta BKB if BKB is necessary.
Yeah.
There's the Earthshaker once again. And this is a hero we have seen so much of in this tournament. This is a hero that has been picked up, I want to say, in 90% of the games we've cast so far.
He's just a very solid support hero right now.
Indeed he is, and long-range threat that is paired up with the Skywrath Mage. This is the combo that we have seen the most in terms of support pairs. I believe this is in the total of all the games we've cast, 5th time we've seen it.
10
Something
seconds
along
remaining.
that lines. It's very popular here at the assembly.
Yeah.
5
I could
seconds
say
remaining.
the Mirana sound looks pretty good for Vinny
Reserve
Vidivici.
time.
For Vedivici, I would completely agree,
Dire
considering
team
Earthshaker, Skywrath Mage, Mirana is something we have seen before from them and in this tournament.
Yeah.
It is a very powerful combination, and that would then leave Faceless Void just to get all the farm in the world.
Vengeful Spirit is. I'm failing. Whoa. Okay.
Okay. That's something we didn't
I
expect.
I know what comes next.
You know what comes next?
Invoker.
Invoker for Vedivici.
I think so.
Okay. If Invoker could
Matumama
work out.
loves the hero. Volix plays the Ember Spirit, I think. Pretty sure that's the way they're going to run it.
I think we can sum Matumon up as he likes flashy heroes.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the VS. This is the first VS we have seen in the entire tournament. VS, Ancient Apparition is one of the better support
remaining.
pairs. However, the problem is the Magic Missile's stun range
5
is
seconds
shorter
remaining.
than some that you could
Yeah.
have. Telekinesis being the other one I like.
Looks
However,
Dire team ban.
is that an offensive try? No.
it can't be an offensive Tri-Viper again, surely. We've seen it
No.
once so far.
Yeah,
but
that
I would
didn't
think
work out.
Off-lane,
And like, you don't want to do that against Skywrath and Earthshaker.
no, this is a off-lane Nature's Prophet. It's a safe lane farming Viper
10
that
seconds
the Vengeful
remaining.
Spirit
Well,
and the AA can back up if needed,
Could
or they
be
can rotate and
mid
run.
Viper.
Could also be a
5
mid Viper.
seconds
The other
remaining.
option here is,
Reserve
considering
time.
you're going up against an Ember Spirit, you need high physical damage. You've already got high physical from the Viper and from the Nature's Prophet. You need another source, really, a range source.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure.
Radiant
I'm not
team
feeling
ban.
the interaction between the Seppo heroes. I mean, there has to be something.
But they can all abuse
Exceptional
Chilling
coming.
Touch, at least. There's got to be something
Yeah.
special coming to finish this up, though.
Yeah, for sure.
But the Ember Spirit, the Earthshaker,
10
Skywrath Mage
seconds
Void, they
remaining.
have a hell of a lot of mobility, a hell of a lot of potential nuke, and we're
5
calling for an
seconds
Invoker, we
remaining.
think.
Yeah, for Vidivici.
Or at least you
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I think so.
Reserve time.
I mean, it's basically, if they take up an Invoker, it's basically a IG lineup.
Okay. Actually, I think we saw this at TI, didn't we? In day
Well,
one of the
we've seen it.
Crusaders.
We've seen it before that as well.
Yeah, before that as well. Very
They've
true.
been running it for a while.
They're going to ban the Weaver out, and
Dire
I can
team
understand why they're taking the Weaver away. They're thinking it's going to be a mid Ember Spirit, and then
Yeah.
they'll need an offlaner. But I believe we're looking for a farming Ember Spirit, then a offlane Faceless Void. Yeah, that will then leave the Invoker. And if this is the Invoker, it's going to certainly have a lot of threat in terms of the damage potential, especially if it's an Exhort-based Invoker, which I would come to expect with the Skywrath Mage combo, because then you just drop the Fissure, you have Ancient Seal,
10
Sun
seconds
Strike,
remaining.
high potential for nuke. Especially
How
with
do
the
they
Civic
deal
Chain
with
as
the
well.
Ember
5
Spirit,
seconds
though?
remaining.
Like,
You're going to have to try to sheer right-click him down, which is not going to be very easy.
no,
Reserve
like
They need something that can lock this down.
they can pretty much just. He doesn't need to engage ever, really.
No, he doesn't. He can
And
just
the
stay on
Vengeful Spirit
sidelines.
isn't. The swap. If you're just gonna rely on the swap to try and get the Ember Spirit into a position where you can actually kill him, that's a bit tenuous.
Hmm. Well, it's all going to be coming down to can they keep the Ember Spirit under control for Seppo.
Batrider maybe for Seppo.
For Seppo, that would work against the Ember Spirit, yes. However, they're going to have to be very careful with the Earthshaker, because if they don't,
Yeah, and
Keep in mind where the
and
Earthshaker
the
is,
Skywrath
this is
as
just
well, you know, and Faces is too much. It's the Miranda
Okay.
after all.
We see the
Radiant
Mirana,
team
so
pick.
they're going to have the ability to sneak in with the invisibility,
Yeah.
get the combos off that they want, potentially combo up the Ember Spirit with the Earthshaker and the Skywrath Mage in terms of a nuke, or drop the Chronosphere and then pick off everyone with Sleight of Fist.
Yeah, it's a bit less greedy to go for Miranda than the
Than the
Invoker,
Yeah, I would
so-
be in complete agreement. Whereas Invoker with Matubaman's Invoker, we
seconds
expect a Midas, level acceleration. There's where the greed then lies,
5 seconds remaining.
yeah.
which would then mean a very tenuous, in my mind, early game if the roaming pair of Skywrath Mage and
Reserve
Earthshaker
time.
cannot get the kills that they want.
This
Unless
there-
Seppo have got a surprise for us now.
I feel like Seppo needs a hero that does a lot, like a lot more than you normally get from a single hero right now.
They need some form of lockdown. They have the damage, they need a lockdown. What kind of lockdown hero could we see? Tide's banned out. ES is taken up already. Nigma, I believe, is in the pool. Is there, yes.
Yeah.
And it does bring push to the table. And
Yeah, but they need a core.
they do need a core.
I feel like that's mid lane Viper maybe.
Gyrocopter could work to an extent. But again,
Oh
it's
no,
not as
it
common
doesn't
anymore.
doesn't do enough. Doesn't do enough.
Well, we'll see if they've got a surprise for us. They've got 38 seconds left on their bonus time, and they're certainly thinking through their options here. The Nature's Prophet. This is surely going to be the offlane Prophet, mid lane Viper. They need something that pairs up well with the auras here.
I'm thinking Dragon Knight, but that doesn't help you with the Ember Spirit. Then that
No,
means
it
that
doesn't.
you literally have to, like, honestly, I don't see there being any.
There's one hero I think that could work, and it's going to be a high physical damage. The way they can deal with the Ember Spirit is with a silence, and the only one that crops to mind, based on aura
5
stacking,
seconds
Drow,
remaining.
but it's going to be a Morphling instead.
Yeah,
Which is
I
equally
was
high
I was
physical damage.
considering Drow for
Yeah.
a bit because it's all ranged, but if you want to go for the Drow, you usually pick up a Visage, and yeah.
Well, instead we'll get the Morphling played by Sifla, so I'm wondering how much this Morphling's actually going to be able to get, because you look at Vedivdivisi and you just think this Morphling is going to have a very unpleasant time, and even if he gets a Scar, even if he gets, a Lincoln Sphere, it's not exactly going to accomplish much apart from stopping the Ancient Seal.
I don't know. If he gets up the shotgun, there's a
Sure,
few.
but shotgun is normally your second item, because otherwise
Yeah.
you don't have the agility to get the blast. And would you agree that a Lincoln's isn't the item in this game?
Well, you can always go for the early BKB,
Only
which
BKB
is
could
the
work.
classic
Prepare
Chinese
for
build.
battle.
Well, on that note, let's quickly introduce the players and what they're playing. We've got Sifla on that Viper. We have Lapaz on the Ancient Apparition. Nuerte on the Vengeful Spirit for the tri-lane. In the mid lane, heading towards it, at least for now, we've got Spin. He's probably going to head up and grab the Rune, should it be there. And also heading towards that bottom lane is Burgi. So we're going to see most likely rotation up, yep, from the Nature's Prophet. And towards the mid lane, I'll expect Sifla to rotate there, considering he was mid in the last game. On the flip side of this coin, however, for Vendivisi, we have Nota on that Skyreth Mage. And he's played this hero, I believe, 3 times now in the tournament off the top of my head. Equally, we have Thompson on the Earthshaker, again reprising his role. Over on the Mirana, we have Valix, and again, I believe this is the 3rd Mirana we've seen him play.
Yep.
They do like these heroes. Now got Matuberman on the Ember Spirit, and again, a flashy
30
hero.
seconds
It
to
suits Matuberman's personality in a way. I think that's all we can really say on the matter.
Yeah, and I think again that hero is going to be absolutely key in this game.
And finally we have Sohn on the Faceless Void once more. And you can see as an offlane Faceless Void, how much regen has he got? 10 tangos worth and a salve. No stats. That is a staggeringly high amount of hate for trees. Timbersaw would be
battle
proud.
begins.
You don't have regen until you have like 9 tangos. I actually watched a game where Navi pulled Dendi 9 tangos on
Really?
top of I think he had a Poorman shield.
Wow, that's quite the regen pull right there. Either way, as this game pans out, where is your money, Sanzu?
I like Veni Vidi Vici more.
I'll agree.
I think they need to do too much too early. And
I'm in complete agreement. They
Yeah.
need more from their lineup for Seppo. And sure, they can technically go for some early aggression, try to outplay VVV. They're going to have to get some hell of consistent and good ganks for that to work, though. However, with VVV, their draft, it has roaming ability, control, it has sustain and damage. All of the 4 big things that you need. And Boogie's already taking a fair amount of harass, and he only has 1 single tango left, and he can't use it for 45 seconds. And you can see just how much Nota is punishing him. This is one of the big threats with the Skywrath. Arcane Bolt has effectively no cooldown. It does a staggeringly high amount of damage as well, even at level 1. Equally though, across the board, we've got Son going up against Sifler's Viper. Does, however, have Lapis nearby supporting, as well as Nuete on that Vengeful Spirit. So we could see a potential set of aggression going towards Son at some point, forcing him to timely, forcing him to use some of this plethora of regen that he actually does have. Now, up on the final lane of this game, we've got Valix. He's playing the Mirana up against Spin's Nature's Prophet. And in my mind, Spin should be able to get a decent amount from this lane should he not be jumped and hit by an arrow at long range.
And he is going to
catch him out with an arrow from range and a very, very dead Spin. That's first blood in favor of Vendi Vidivisi. Exactly what they needed.
When you have those three heroes, it's almost a free first blood.
Yeah, it's a very strong combination, and we've seen it to great effect in this tournament.
And they seem very familiar or very comfortable with that whole setup.
Well, the comfort and confidence that playing familiar heroes has is one of the best things to use, but equally, the flip side of the coin of that, though, is that the enemy can start to read you. You get complacent in your picks, and the enemy can then capitalize off you knowing what you will want. But in this game...
Yeah, but that's sort of why it's impressive how they're picking right now, because they are managing to find... Like, Matumbaman is essentially the anchor of their lineups, always. And they're seemingly always finding lineups which allow Matumbaman to have complete freedom, at least once he comes online.
I can completely understand that, and well, we've seen what Matumbaman can do with a Tinker. That was quite special to see. And hell, if he can do that kind of same thing with an
Naga
Ember
Siren
Spirit,
game, he just
and
destroyed.
And the Naga, of course. And he certainly has the ability to play for, well, whoever he wants, I reckon, in terms of the finish scene. He has a very strong presence on the map, and in my mind, if he keeps playing Dota at this level, good future as well.
Yeah. So everyone go up to him and tell him to keep on playing Dota and forget about sports. He plays baseball as well, and yeah.
Either way, we do have a potential threat coming in from the roaming combo. If these guys do, they have another smoke available. We have seen one used already. No, they don't. They have enough gold to purchase a smoke, but in my mind, they're going to want to start getting their boots online, so they may forego the smoke for a little bit here. But bottom lane, Zone could potentially be in a lot of trouble. They're going to try to catch him, but he's just going to time leap out. There's no chance of that again. A very defensive offlaner, and it's been a few months while we've had Faceless Void in the offlane role, and it surprised me how effective it is, because normally when you think Faceless Void before, you would always think, yep, hard carry Void.
Yeah. Yeah, it came from EG, the whole idea of running him in this position, and
why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised it was EG that came up with this evil plan here?
But it's actually funny because long before EG ran it, it was run against them. I think it was DreamHack Winter 2012.
They do catch a stun out on Zone, and he could potentially take a fall. He's going to time leap away again, but look at how much damage he takes due to the Chilling Touch. That Chilling Touch is just going to do a staggeringly large amount of damage across the board every damn time that it goes up. And they've already lost a tier 1 due to this pressure that a Faceless Void cannot exert on a lane. You just get the TP into the Nature's Prophet, create the treants, and then you just march in with that all-out aggressive push that we've seen in previous games as well as at TI.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not that bad. You give a free lane to Valix, and like he's gonna get big. He's gonna do a lot with that Mirana, but it's not the best hero to get that farm on. The bigger problem is that there's nothing being done to Matumbaman right now.
Stun goes out to Lapis, but now this could be very dangerous for Lapis. He will get burst down by the Starstorm. Of course, 2 strokes hitting him since he was in point-blank range. And, well, could Valix look for more here? Could he get an arrow, potentially go for Spin as well? I don't think he has the mana pool to do so at this point, no, unfortunately. But the aggression is there potentially from VVV. They can look to punish this Nature's Prophet whenever he TPs onto a lane. And in my mind, that's what they need to do. Equally though, Zone, how's he doing item-wise? I mean, he's got his brown boots, he's got 600 gold in the bank, and you don't generally expect an offlane Void to get much farm, but he's getting the levels. He almost has his level 6. He's only about 200 experience off that, so level 6 at near enough 6 minutes, that's a fair trade. Equally though, Boogie gets a little bit over-aggressive. He tries to waveform in, but unfortunately will pay for this with his life near enough. He will manage to strength morph enough to survive it. I was actually expecting a little more commitment for that fight coming out of Nota. He decided to stay on the sidelines instead, and they just forced TPs and were happy with that. Equally though, the whole deal of not getting a kill, the supports, they're still level 2 and 3 respectively. It's a very tenuous position for them to be in. They need to start getting these levels up. I mean, we've said before, Mystic Flare, Echo Slam, some of the biggest AoE potential damage ults in the game. You catch out someone with Echo, you catch out someone with Mystic Flare, they're going to die.
Yeah, they're on average about a level behind the Seppa supports, but
Indeed.
it's not. It could be worse.
And Matubaman will just continue to regen himself by going to the fountain and leaving a remnant so he can just come back incredibly quickly.
The important thing is that they have the level lead on their core heroes instead.
Well, having the level lead on the core heroes is all well and good. I mean, they've got the Chronosphere up now. They've got the remnants for Matubaman's Ember Spirit up. More importantly, in my mind, the biggest ult they have is the Moonlight Shadow, and it is ready to be used, so they can look for more aggressive ganks at this point in the game. But if we look at Last Sunrise right now, Valix is top of the board. He has got pick of the litter in terms of what he wants. So are we going to be looking for that Yasha potentially into a BKB, then back to a Manta?
Maybe. I kind of like the early drums on the hero. General.
Equally, Matubaman's getting very aggressive down towards Boogie on this mid lane. Catching him under the tower. He's already used the Searing Change, but he's going to be forced back here. In comes Muerte trying to get the stun, but again, this is the problem with Vengeful Spirit. Such a short range.
But he forces so much reaction, so much focus on him.
Yeah, he's costing the enemy supports a lot of time.
Yeah, and that means that the top lane tower is for the taking.
But now we do have an Invis present for Matubaman, so if he can make something happen with this, it's certainly going to be very effective. Equally though, we have a tier 1 falling in favor of Vendibit VC. So towers are now equal in terms of gold. But it raises the question, we did have the rotation in from Muerte. His on-lane spin is here as well. They do have some damage between them, but is it enough to try to pick up a kill here? I don't think it is. They're going to need one more rotation in. And pinks go out from Nota. They potentially want to keep pushing for this.
You're dead.
Oh, Christ. In the meantime, Matubaman decides to bring down Lapis. This is the strength of the Ember Spirit with the Invisorin, of course. Can take a fight anywhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking a fight anywhere, we've still got a aggressive posture by Valix and crew on this off lane, and the arrow will fly. Unfortunately, it will hit the creep. The creep, well, hero creep there just saved Spin and Nerte from being dove. But now we've got pressure going on to a tier 2 already. Valix fairly low on life. It's something that he has to be very careful of. He does have the full Aquila, and now we get the Moonlight Shadow. Where are we going with this Moonlight Shadow? We've got Sivla in a lot of trouble. Going to take a good chunk of damage, and this is going to be a very dead Viper, surely. Are they going to get the counter kill? I don't think they are. Magic Missile, however. No, he backtracks. He survives. Not a chance. And Note is going to pay for his sins with that one. Getting a little too ballsy. Got to keep backtrack in mind. Chance is one thing, but, well, that is a very lucky Void. I believe we said in the last game he had a horseshoe wedged somewhere. Still there, apparently.
Double drums.
Well, they're making up for all the games we did not see drums in.
They're forming a drum circle.
Matubaman, in the meantime, will continue the pressure. And with his build, no points on Sleight of Fist yet, but he doesn't really have the damage to make use of the Sleight of Fist. Equally, what else can we see coming up on the map? Drum being delivered as well as the Aquila to Valix on this top lane. So he's going to be able to use these early game stat incremental items to great effect in my mind. I love to see this. The small early game incremental items can sometimes be so much more valuable than saving straight for a tier 2 or a tier 3 item. Equally though, we do get pings out. Boogie going to get caught out. Do they have the Chronosphere? No, they don't, but they're going to be able to right click him. The Ancient Seal's over though, so now we're going to get Strength Morph, and he should be fine. Matubaman even comes in, but doesn't manage to get the Searing Chains off due to the waveform. It's an interesting little early game, a 0-5 lead in favor of Vendivida VC, and we can see how much of an effect this has on the graphs. It's only a 1,500 gold lead, though. I expected this to be more.
Experience,
The experience is the big thing that matters in the early game, though, and that's a 3,000 experience lead. You can see it in terms of the hero levels. I mean, level 9 up on the Ember Spirit, you've got Morphling at 8 in response, and those are your 2 mid lanes, so you can see the advantage there for Matubaman. More importantly, the supports, they're level 5 each for Seppo, whereas they're now 5 each as well for the side of Vendivida VC.
You could want a bit more, but they're catching up with the Seppo supports.
You can see Boogie just getting harassed down once again. The Ember Guard is actually doing a fairly large amount of damage, and it's one thing you always have to keep in mind. A second Searing Change is going to cause a little bit of rotation there and a little bit of panic, but Matubaman's just going to go out, TP, regen, and come back in. Then again, you've got Nota on the sidelines. They're going to throw some damage into Spin, but they're not going to get much more than that. They're just going to stop him farming. We even have a Midas picked up on the Faceless Void and using it immediately, going to try to farm up and make the most of that Midas. Problem here is this a game where you want to keep the early game pressure, or is the Midas the right choice? This is the problem with the Midas. Is it always the right choice or not? They have the advantage now, I suppose. Use it to keep the advantage?
Well, I mean, it's an EG hero, so let's go with an EG strategy. We got the Midas. It's time to fight. No,
Arteezy Midas, you're saying, effectively.
it wasn't even Arteezy that did it. It was.
In the meantime, Sifla's
I think
going
it
to
was
come in,
Universe.
force Matubaman back, and well, with this kind of pressure, you've got Ember Spirit also having full phase boots available, and on the back foot of this, you do have Son getting caught out with the Magic Missile this time, and he's going to fall a little too aggressive. I'm not sure why they were that far behind the tier 1, but
Yeah, that was.
trying to set up
If
for a
you're gonna
chrono,
get
perhaps.
that Midas,
Then again,
at
Chrono's on
least
cooldown,
don't
so.
die with it.
Yeah, that's one of the big things. I mean, you invest in the Midas, you don't really want to be dying. You want to be spending your time farming, making the most of it, and just accelerating your level and gold growth as much as possible instead of brawling. It's not a brawling item. If they wanted to brawl with this Faceless Void, I'd much prefer have seen, believe it or not, a drum on him, or potentially, hell, even it may not be picked up often, but as we get an arrow fly, it's going to impact on Lapis under the tower. But they're not going to be able to capitalize off of that, I don't believe. But on the Faceless Void, you could also see components, believe it or not, for the Orchid. Orchid is something that does get picked up on Void occasionally and can have great effect. Gives him attack speed, which is the most important thing, since attack speed is pretty much a downright requirement for him, considering it'll give him more bashes inside of the Chronosphere. And it will also silence Boogie, which means no strength morph.
Yeah, it seems a bit of a long shot right now.
Yeah, it's a long shot, but it's something I've seen in the past, at least.
Yeah.
They're going to force Boogie to waveform and TP away. He's not
Boogie
going
is,
to want any
by
of
the way,
that.
going to be going into the Yasha's first item.
Yeah, so there's going to be no misses as we expected. Valix, in the meantime, is continuing to farm up as best he can. He has his drum, he has his Aquila. Where do we go from here? Do we see the Yasha pick up next for Valix?
Yeah, that's what I expect.
Mm.
I think it's Yasha into Manta.
You think he's going to skip the BKB and go straight for the Manta before
Radiant's
it?
bottom tower is under attack.
What
Is
does
it-
it really need the BKB against?
It's going to
Oh.
help versus the stun and control of the Vengeful Spirit. It's going to help versus the damage of the
Radiant's
Ice
bottom
Blast and the
tower
Ancient
is under
Apparition.
attack.
The Ice
It's more
Blast. The Ice Blast
safety.
is more legit. I don't think the Vengeful Spirit is
Meantime,
going to be
Matubaman
going
in
on
a bit
him
of trouble,
that
but
much.
he's just going to Remnant away. He doesn't even want to be caught in that. And you
Vengeful
can see
Spirit
just
only has
how much
level
of a threat
1
it's posing.
swap still, so it's fairly low range. You could
True.
probably jump around him.
Matubaman just being very ballsy. That's a new level of aggression. Just coming in, getting Searing Chains and backing out with the Remnant. Doesn't even want to right click, and he had a DD room, so he certainly could have.
And now let's chase for kills behind the tier 1 before we kill the tier 1.
Look at the arrow. They know this is here, so I'm not sure why they're hanging around.
Yeah.
Equally though, tier 1 is going to be the source of pressure. What I was going to mention briefly was the BKB would also give you a certain level of security, because we are both
Dire's
expecting a
bottom
shotgun
tower
at
is
some
under
point.
attack.
BKB means
Yeah.
the shotgun can't fire.
Dire's structures
Equally
are
though, here we go. We're going to get the Chrono 1-2, Spin and Sifla. Going to swap Sifla out, and that's going to be pretty decent, but Nota going to eat the bulk of a Mystic Flame. Not going to die to it quite yet, but still, saving his teammate, the Viper, certainly. They do force rotations from that, though. Equally, at the same time, Boogie is farming and continuing to push
Radiant's middle
this
tower
top,
has
this bot
been
line tier
denied.
2.
That seems to be like the only real role that Vengeful Spirit is going to have this early on is
It seems to
just
be
someone who saves someone from the
Sifla
chrono.
gets hit by an arrow, and that's going to most likely be the end of him. A couple of right clicks, but in comes the Ice Blast. Lap is going to potentially take a good chunk of damage, but no, right clicks are not going to be enough to finish him off. He's far too quick, and he's too far away. But Spin will be the victim, and he does eat the Echo Slam as well as an Enchant Totem Strike. That's going to be the end of that Nature's Prophet right there. this is still a very strong showing here for VVV.
And that's where you pick up the enchant
Arrow
totem.
does hit long range 5 seconds. That's going to be the death of Nerte as well. One right click coming in from the Faceless Void, and that's going to be the end of that. Now
Come on, Lapis is dead as well.
But Lapis will go down to Matuberman again. Very aggressive from Matuberman. But it's paying off. The build he's gone for gives him that extra health against magical damage. Of course, the Ember Guard being able to tank up a good 500 magical damage,
Radiant's middle tower
as well as having
This
the
is
effective radius.
this is just such aggression coming out of just between the Miran and the Ember Spirit.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, Arrow is one thing. You throw on top of that Ember Spirit and his control, you let alone his burst damage, and then, well, we're not even mentioning Thompson on the Earthshaker, and he, while he's 1-0
Yeah, he
and
sets up a
4,
lot.
he sets up a hell of a lot from long range.
And once he gets his Blink Dagger as well, it's going to be even worse.
I mean, we're going to take a quick look at the graphs again, just to show how this game has evolved. And you can see the Gold's lead going from what was a little bit of an advantage towards Seppo
Dire's
to a
middle
4K
tower is
advantage
under
for
attack.
Vendavida. Experience-wise, though, continuing to grow for VVV, up at 5K now. And it's looking to be a strong early game, probably possible to transition into a very strong mid-game here for VVV, and maybe even a kill on Cephala, depending on how aggressive Matuberman wants to be.
Radiant's
With the presence of
bottom tower
Nuerte on
is
that
under
Vengeful
attack.
Spirit, I don't think he's going to be that aggressive, and does need to respect the Viper. Viper, for all intents and purposes, can still do a staggeringly
Dire's
large
top
amount of
tower
physical
is
damage,
under
especially
attack.
to lower HP targets.
Radiant's bottom
Here, a lot of
tower
people
is under
underestimate the
attack.
sheer strength that Nether Toxin actually has. It's what gives Viper the ability to go for the tankier build instead of needing flat damage.
That's interesting. Spin went for a Maelstrom first item.
Equally, we do have the potential to bring down Boogie. We do get the TP out from Sohn as well as Moonlight Shadow, but not going to be able to capitalize anything off the back of that, and they do lose a tier 1 in exchange. The Morphling, for all intent and purposes, is continuing to farm up fairly well. He does have that full Yasha now, and he's going to be looking to evolve in towards a Manta before he gets his shotgun, so he has some agility to back up that shotgun blast. Equally, though, what else do we have coming across the map? Let's actually bring up the items tab and take a quick look. We're going to be looking for, I should think, a full Molnir on spin at some point. I mean, that to me seems like the right choice in this game. It's going to help out with the Ember Spirit, at least to a small extent, giving someone the electric shield. For Nuerte, I'm expecting standard support things, whereas we do have a little bit of a trade going on up here. They're going to look and bring down Nuerte off the back of the stun from Nuerte, and that's going to be more than enough. And finally, a second kill going the way of Seppo, and if they can keep feeding kills into this Morphling is going to become a late-game engine of destruction in this one.
Yeah, the kills are coming up on the supports, and it's not in a support who has
And we do
any
get
kind
away
of
from
kill
through and
streak.
straight in with the AA blast. That's going to be the death of the Faceless Void, and
Ooh.
good coordination between the pair there. Not what I expected to happen, but certainly another kill going the way of, I believe that one went to AA. Yes, it did, but the assist goal did go towards the Ancient Apparition, and sorry, not Ancient Apparition, towards the
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Morphling.
attack.
Yeah, Morphling. I'll get there eventually. It's been a long day so far.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, he's got his Yasha now and 1,000 gold, so he's on his way.
Indeed. And what else can we see coming up? We were looking at items before that, a little flurry of combat.
Radiant's
With the
bottom
Asher up,
tower
we're
is
looking for
under
that Manta as we agreed with the Boogie. With Sifla, what are we going to expect on him? Do you think we're going to see straight Aghanims on the Viper? Just go for stats and tankiness? Make Viper strike that bit more effective.
fair
And now we get
choice,
the chrono,
yeah.
but it's going to completely whiff. They managed to replicate out in time.
VV falling apart a bit. Thompson as well. I don't know if you caught it, but he just got blasted by the Ancient Apparition in his own jungle.
I didn't see that, actually. I missed that one. But this is what Seppo need to do. They need to get picks. They need to get kills. And Valix is certainly lurking nearby. He wants to try to make use of this Moonlight Shadow, but they're not going to find anything off the back of it. So it's, in all intents and purposes, a wasted cooldown. Then again, he is farming fairly well with this Maelstrom, so he's got 1,100 gold in the bank. And what else can they find? Equally, though, they've Matuberman forcing Boogie to back off away from the river. Don't want him getting any excess farm anywhere, but he'll just rotate back into his jungle, and Matuberman's going to go down and harass potentially the Viper here. But Matuberman is continuing just to play the, well, pain in the ass that the Ember Spirit is.
Yeah, but for all
I'll be blunt on this one.
But for all that Seppo has been doing to get back in the game, Matuberman has, well, there it is.
He has pretty much the full Battle Fury up, yes. And this is where a Ember Spirit starts to get
It's not
scary.
pretty much, it is. The full.
Yeah, it is the full Battle Fury.
Yep.
Sorry, he does have the Claymore in his inventory. And this is going to be quite scary for Seppo when they start realizing, yeah, Cleave is now online. But where do we go from that? Do we go for crit next, or do we go for another Battle Fury? Because we've seen multiple Battle Furies built in programs before.
Rapier.
No, this is not a rapier game. And if this is a rapier game, I'll eat my hat.
Well,
You were right last time. You're not going to get 2 in a row.
it could be a rapier game just because they can't kill him. How are they going to kill him? How are they going to get to him?
I'll agree on that much, but in comes Matuberman looking for Lapis, and, well, that's a dead Lapis, and there's no way Matuberman's going to hang around.
There's
He's
no
just gonna
better reason to
out
get
there.
a rapier than because the opponent can't do anything to you.
True, but all it takes is one misstep to be caught out, in all honesty. And so he's looking for that
But
Chronosphere.
hey, you're up a game. You might as well have some fun.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
You know, that kind of logic. Why, Sunzu? Why?
I'm only being half facetious. I think the straight Battle Fury into Rapier is actually highly underrated, and I think it's
Well,
borderline
could be in
broken.
problems here, but no, he had to fire Remnant even further back than I thought, and he'll just manage to escape this one.
Yeah, like we've seen it out of Ferrari when he's playing the Ember Spirit.
They'll pick up the rapier for the hell of it because he can't be killed. Sure, I'll admit that it is a possibility. That's all I will say. I don't expect it. It's a possibility, but I don't expect it.
I mean, he's also picked it up in absolutely terrible positions, and the hero is just so difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't get to him.
You need some form of silence, and Thompson's going to get picked off again in his jungle at this rate. He's going to tick down.
Sifla is dead.
Sifla's dead as well.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
Sifla's
die.
dead to the Ember Spirit. We lose the ES, but we trade for a Viper, so
Yeah.
in my mind, that's still in favor of Vendor VC.
And Matumbaman gets the kill.
Yep, which is even more scary considering he's got another 1,600 gold in the bank. And we're soon going to be seeing what item he's
Morphling
going for
finishes
next.
up his Manta style as well.
And if we see a Demon Edge, I'm just going to tap out. If there's a Demon Edge, you can cast.
Oh god.
Then again, he could go Demon Edge into Desolate, full Daedalus even, so that's a possibility equally. Now we get a Moonlight Shadow being popped. They're going to try to look for Boogie, but this is going to be a very hard kill to get. They do have the Sky Raptor rotating in. Here we go. Do we have the damage needed? They don't have a silence, but yes, with the Mystic Flare, they will bring down that Morphling. Finally, he's now 1-1-1, and let's take a quick look at the net worth, shall we? 10,000 gold for the Earth Spirit, second up Mirana, but then you got the Morphling 9k. I thought the Morphling may have been a little further ahead than that, but still. Matuberman, what are you doing down here? Oh, he finds Spin. This could be very bad for Spin. Now you get the arrow fly, and it's going to miss, unfortunately. Matuberman needs to get the hell out of there. He dodges the Ice Blast with... No, he didn't dodge the Ice Blast. He got hit by it. I thought he managed to dodge that one. Huh. He might have got clipped by it before the blast hit.
I mean, that's just how safe he feels right now.
Yeah, if you feel like
he
you
can walk
dive
into 4
effectively,
guys and just, whatever, I'll walk out.
If you feel that safe where you can effectively dive what is near enough the base, then yeah, I'll agree.
I mean, he keeps on telling me he wants to entertain, and what's more entertaining than a rapier?
True. I mean, for me personally, a Warlock. But yeah,
It's by the way, it's going to be a BKB for Sifla, which,
that
fair
makes
enough.
sense.
Fair
That
enough.
makes much sense on the Viper. I mean, he needs the BKB. I mean, it could be an axe, sure. Do we actually have parts on the career? No, we don't.
No.
They're going to look for, well, Matuberman finds Nerte, and this is going to be very painful. I actually managed to burst it down in time. Did not see that one coming.
Dire's bottom tower
Maybe
is
he'll
under
rethink
attack.
how much aggression he's putting forward now, considering that 700 gold the way of who picked up that kill, the VS. So that's going to help out towards a mech if there isn't enough already. She's got a medallion.
That's problematic, though. I mean, the mech is already up on the Viper, so the VS isn't really building towards any big items, and he's got no farming pre-op because the Ancient Apparition is actually getting all the support farm
But now we
Because
get
he
big
wants
Echo
the
Slam. They're just going to melt that Morphling. He had no hope in hell. Sifla's going to be the next target. In comes the Ice Blast. They can potentially find Thompson, but no, he'll be far enough away. Valix comes in, and so does Matuberman on that Ember Spirit. That's a double kill for Valix. Make that a double kill for Matuberman as well. And that's a 4-for-1 trade.
Well, that Nature's Prophet got a 710 bounded though, so...
True. The Nature's Prophet got 710 for bringing
it's
down
probably not
Mirana.
worth it still.
No, probably not. But that does mean if we look at the item build that the Nature's Prophet is going, that is an Orchid online.
Yep.
That is a full-out Orchid, which in my mind is a good pickup for
Yeah,
this one. Silence Matuberman. You can then kill Matuberman.
Yeah, I mean, it's good in theory, but, you know, you need him to come up close to you and not kill you. And, yeah.
I'd be in complete agreement for that one. But let's take a quick look at what other items we've got coming up across the board. We've got a full wand available for Boogie, which I was expecting something else. How much gold does Boogie actually have? Only 300. I guess that was left in the fountain from ages ago, so we'll ignore that one. What else do we have coming up? We've got what I would hope to be a full BKB into
BKB,
a shotgun
obvious.
afterwards from Boogie. So for Sifla, he's going to be doing probably very much the same. I think a BKB is the right choice here. Lapis, he's going for that all-important Aghanim Scepter, and we were saying yesterday, Aghanim Scepter upgrade for AA is potentially the scariest upgrade in the entire game. 17 seconds of no healing whatsoever, and they're going to find Boogie, but he's just going to replicate out. There's going to be no hope in hell of a kill on that one. Equally though for Vendavidi VC, what do we see coming up for them? A 4-star, I think, for Nota. Mirana?
Mirana wants a BKB.
Okay.
Nota doesn't want anything.
Nota doesn't want anything. A 4-star would be luxury for him at this point. A BKB for Valix, certainly.
Like, yeah, basically...
And now we get another Moonlight Shadow. Where are we going with this one?
Top tower is under attack.
Who fed that courier?
Wait, we lost a courier, but okay. Death to the assembly couriers, clearly, and Sifla's going to be the target here for Zone and for Matuberman. And they should be able to bring down this Viper, although this Viper is staggeringly tanky. They're going to drop the Viper Strike and the Ice Blast, but is it going to be enough to bring down Zone? He's going to TP out immediately, but with the Ice Blast there, he will potentially die in the fountain. We're going to have to go and take a look at him, since no, he survived the last kick. That was close still.
And he's got that Aghanim Scepter, and he's going to BKB as well. It's going to be BKB gaming today.
I can see, yeah, this game is BKB gaming, certainly.
Yeah. And yeah, you are correct. The Skywrath wants the 4-staff.
Yeah, you'd think
because,
they want
like,
mobility.
Realistically, once all these BKBs come up for Sephiroth.
Speaking of Sephiroth, they're going to try to initiate on Matuberman here, but in comes the Echo Slam, doing huge damage to spin, and Matuberman still standing. Is he going to survive the Ice Blast, though? That's the question. He's going to be hobbling away. No, he does not. He goes down. That's 612 gold going the way of the AA. And equally, Sifla will find Nota with one more right-click, and they bring down the Skywrath Mage as well.
He's actually only 500 gold off his
Meantime,
Aghanims now.
top lane, Boogie, potentially in a lot of trouble here. The arrow does fly. They overlap the stuns quite heavily, though, and he's just going to go into the trees. Does he have a TP? Yes, he does. He's away. He's not going to get caught out at all. What else do we have going on in this game? We've mentioned the Aghanims for the Ancient Apparition, and Thompson. What was Thompson going to be going for? He's got his Blink. I should think either a Veil or a Shivas would be quite ideal for Thompson in this game. Shivas, in my mind, may be a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't see there being much reason to give any farm priority to the supports anymore on BVV.
And so in the meantime,
I think it's all going to be Son and Matumba at this point.
It is going to be a lot of them doing the heavy lifting. Son is also going for a BKB. He already has the Aghanims finished, and with that BKB, he's going to try to survive up against Lapis, since he has been a constant pain in VVV's ass, effectively, with that Ice Blast across the map everywhere. I mean, he's got a good 3 kills so far from shatter damage.
But what's Matumba's next item?
Matuberman's next item?
He's just sitting on gold.
Yeah, BKB.
BKB.
He's going for BKB. We thought potentially could be some form of higher damage, but no, not this time around.
No.
Equally though, we have the siege coming in from Valix. They want tier 2s now, but in comes an Ice Blast. Do they have enough follow-up? The Ice Blast is not going to connect, unfortunately. Boogie is rotating nearby as well. He's only about 600 away from his BKB, and that BKB is going to be all important. Smoke, you say?
Yeah. They
Indeed
smoked, and Norty did a wave of terror atop them, but he didn't see them they weren't revealed yet. So
fair enough, but he had the presence of mind to rotate away anyway. He doesn't risk getting caught out at all. Equally though, here comes the Moonlight Shadow. They're coming down from the high ground. Was there any vision on this when it was cast? No, there wasn't. So this could be a complete surprise. And if they find anyone, it could potentially be Sifla once again. And this is behind a tier 2. But they're not going to go down far enough to find him, unfortunately. And I know Matuberman likes to be aggressive, but I'm beginning to wonder if there's a limit to how aggressive he should be, since Seppo are starting to prove they can still kill Matuberman. Your thoughts?
I think they need to slow it down a bit. Like, they need the BKB up on the Morphling. They need that Aghanim Scepter completed on the Ancient Apparition.
I could completely agree with that one.
There's big items to be farmed up right now, and there's no reason to go take a fight before that. Maybe look for a BKB on the Prophet as well, maybe.
Nature's Prophet with a BKB? Yeah, that does make sense in this end, just considering the sheer amount of damage coming out of Vendetta VC. And
because if you leave him without a BKB, he's just going to be the obvious target for Nota.
yeah, I would agree. And Nota, he's done some good work with his ult so far. We're going to look for an attempt at Roshan here. Was the, what popped the Lincoln Spear on the Roshan? Was that surely not Nature's Prophet ult bouncing around now?
I don't think so, no.
The AA ult haven't revealed things. Matuberman does eat the full blast. Are they going to risk fighting this one? They pull Roshan out of the way and Valix misses the arrow. How do you miss Roshan? Seriously. Someone in the meantime is going to rotate back in, and this could be a very easy Roshan. I don't see the ability to contest it on the side of Seppo 13.
Yeah, there's absolutely no danger here. They've even got the wards up.
Well, I feel like this is going to be going Matuberman's way, and well, we've seen how aggressive Matuberman can be without an Aegis. What do you think he's going to be up to now?
Well, now he's certainly got more than enough to be as bolstered well as he wants to.
We actually see a Blink Dagger on spin, by the way, not a BKB.
Yeah, that works as well.
Equally though, spin needs to be very careful.
It sort of indicates that he wants to split push more, which is a bit incongruous with his Orchid build.
And they're going to go for the
that
Orchid
works.
onto Valix.
That
Here
works.
we go, they're just going to burst him down with the Ice Blast as well. AA steals the kill. In the meantime, Matuberman does come back in. They're looking for the chase now. And does he have any remnants left? He's got 2, but he can't really afford to chase this too much. He puts 1 back defensively, and he's not going to be able to catch up to the Morphling in time. Morphling is well enough away and safe.
Yeah.
Now we're going to take another quick glance at the graph, since this game has been very heavy on the back and forth as well. And you can see the graph starting to curve back towards Seppo's favour. If they can maintain the kind of growth towards their wallets and their item pools, then they could certainly turn this game on to VVV's head. What else do we have in terms of experience? It's starting to settle at about 15,000.
Boog is being gone on a bit, but
yeah, the Ice Blast is going to make Matuberman think twice, and he's just going to Remnant away. He doesn't really want to risk being caught at all. And now we've got Nota. He's got his full Force Staff, and well, items are all coming online. The big core items that Vendetta VC need are all there nearly. Zone, he's got his BKB now. Where do we go from here? Damage on him? Do we go Butterfly? Or Mask of Madness still missing on
Mask of Madness probably first.
I feel like the Mask is the right choice
It's so
on this one.
easy and cheap to get.
Indeed it is.
And you usually see it. If you go for the Aghanims, you usually see a Mask.
Aye. But what else do we have across the board quickly? Any new big items coming up apart from that Blink Dagger?
Well, Nota got his Force Staff, but
yeah, we called that one.
like this Morphling is doing fairly decent, but
still doesn't have any shotgun.
Yeah.
And how much gold do we have up on the Morphling right now? 2,600. So he's almost got the Eagle Song.
Yeah.
So we're not that far away from a shotgun. And when the shotgun comes online, it's going to at least put the fear of death in Nota. But equally, tier 2s will fall in favor of Vendetta VC. And Seppo, it's getting to the point where VVV want to knock on Seppo's doorstep in terms of these racks. And well, certainly Sifla's going to try to hold this, but Sifla's items are still feeling lackluster. He's gone for the BKB, but he doesn't have the Aghanim, so we've still got that excessively long cooldown on Viper Strike. And Viper Strike's going to help out to a severe extent against the mobility that Matuberman actually has in these fights, assuming he's not got a safe remnant that he can back up on.
I don't expect Sifla to have that huge of an impact in general. I mean, he's not had the best of games. 2-5-2.
Turn back the clock.
It's a bit difficult for him to really have a huge impact at this point.
And we actually see another 4 stuff come up for the Earthshaker this time around, so not opting for any of the bigger tier 3 items, just going to go for more support based. Let's get some mobility on our team and
it
try
definitely
to
makes sense.
It does. Technically, you could also 4-stuff people into the Chronosphere, which would certainly be a play and a half, and I would thoroughly like to see that.
I'll tell what are you eating Ice Blast for here?
Matubum continuing to invade the jungle, and, well, Nota needs to be very careful. Is that an Aghanims on the...
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got an Aghanims up for Lapis, so it's quite a scary prospect considering. Look how much health that the Ice Blast alone took from Nota. It nearly rendered him to death.
Yeah, a level 3 Ice Blast would have killed him, but he's just level 12, so...
Well, level 3, I believe the damage increase is 5 damage a tick, as well as increasing the percentage from 11 to 12 on death.
I want to say it's 950 damage about.
Total with the Aghanims, yeah. I believe you were around that when we were discussing that one the other day.
Yeah.
And now we get another tier 2 push coming in. Valix, he wants this tier 2 on the top lane, and he's going to be an Ice Blast for it, but certainly that's going to clean that one up.
Top tower has fallen.
Equally though, the Ice Blast isn't a small amount of damage anymore, so need to keep that in mind. Equally though, we've got Morphling being able to pick off Nota's Skywrath Mage. Is that the shotgun online? Near, it's got at least the Eagle Song. And just the sheer right-click damage coming through and being able to burst down Nota, it seems. But still, we have Thompson.
It's a bit odd since Atomoman, he was so aggressive early on, but now that he has the Aegis, he hasn't actually been doing much of anything. He's copped a couple of Ice Blasts, but
he's been invading this area of the jungle fairly often, but finding nothing
but he can't find anyone out because Seppo is generally just they're playing very back. They're playing together a lot.
They have to because Matuberman will pick them to pieces otherwise.
Yeah,
I mean it's like a vulture at a carcass with Matuberman on this hero. Equally though, in comes another Ice Blast. Valix is going to be the recipient of said Ice Blast, and we're looking for again some momentum on these lanes, get the push going. I think this tier 3 tower is going to be the first port of call in this game. And
is that a Scotty coming up on the Morphling?
On the Morphling?
Yeah.
Huh. Not opting
Scotty
for
or Lincoln's.
I doubt it's a Lincoln's. I highly doubt it's a Lincoln's.
Yeah, I don't think that makes any sense, really. It's got to be the Scotty.
Yeah, I think if anything it's going to be a Scotty. But again, opting not for the shotgun, that's going to reduce the damage potential that they can put out fairly heavily, actually.
Yeah.
But Matuberman continuing to be Ice Blasts. What do you expect? You've got some pretty pinpoint accuracy from Lapis here. He is effectively sniping people with this ult, and it is good to see.
That's also a lot. They've got a lot of good wards for him to just snipe people when they're in their own jungle and such.
Yeah. It's a brilliant thing to see. And
he's utilizing it to full effect because on every cooldown you pretty much see an Ice Blast fly out somewhere.
Yeah, and I think it's hit the majority of them. So
yeah, it's almost just like harassment.
Speaking of harassment, Siflev on the receiving end of some Searing Chains, but of course, Searing Chainsing a Viper, that's going to put corrosive skin on you, and that's going to slow Matuberman's escape. It's slowed down the pace of the game considerably since we were hyper-aggressive in the early game. Beyond hyper-aggressive, we were Matuberman aggressive. I think that's the best way to put it. And now it's just slowed down completely. And we do get a Moonlight Shadow, but Thompson's going to be forced to reveal it just by blinking away. And on the top lane, we do get Nota as well as Son nearby. There is no sentry to reveal this, but hell, it seems that Seppo are maybe
Sifla
not
really
aware of it. Sifla really wants to commit to this, and he will get caught in the current, so that's going to be a Mystic Flare combination and very dead Viper. Son and this Faceless Void has once again paid off to a fairly high level, and he's got 2,500 gold in the bank, plus a Midas continually used. That Midas has paid for itself by now, and now anything from here on in is just pure golden profit.
Yeah, I mean, this just feels like VVV, they are in absolutely no hurry.
Does get picked off by Boogie there. The Morphling being able to bring down Matuberman without even breaking a sweat, it seems. Which I didn't actually expect in this game. I expected Ember Spirit to maintain that level of advantage, maintain that control over Boogie. But Boogie seems to be fighting, clawing his way back into this, so this does have potential to go to that all-important game 3.
Maybe.
Maybe.
The problem is that you've got Crystallis, almost a Daedalus up on the Mirana. The Void is getting... the Void is getting to a point where he's got all the utility in the world, so he's going to start looking for the damage. And
it's still a 12k gold lead in favor of Vendivative EC. So
Matumbaman has his almost Daedalus.
Well, he opted for the crit instead of going for the item that you earlier mentioned. So I'll take your points and I'll add them to my score. In the meantime, another Ice Blast will fly, one that actually missed. It's an unusual thing, but we do have the full tri-lane that's Vendivative EC have ran, lurking on the side lanes near the secret shop. They're waiting for any kind of pick-off to come their way, but look how defensive the lineup of Seppo are playing. They don't really feel safe going outside of their tower. I mean, I can understand why. The only one who can really safely go anywhere is Boogie, and that's only because he has Replicate. But now another smoke being popped by VVV. They want to try to find the jumps, and Lapis could be in a lot of trouble here. Instead, they're going to go for Sifler. The Mystic Flare is once again there, and Ice Blast's going to come in, but it's going to not be enough to save this friend, the Viper.
Now,
if the Viper keeps getting picked off like that, it's going to cause problems here for Seppo 13.
the Nature's Prophet has an ultimate orb as well.
What's it going to be on the Prophet, you reckon? It's going to be a
It's going to
sheep
be
stick.
Scythe.
Yeah, it's going to be a sheep stick.
Yeah.
There's never a reason for two Skadis.
Come on.
I mean, if you can present me with a reason any team would ever buy two Skadis.
He doesn't have the BKB yet, so it could be the Lincolns, but nah.
No, I doubt it's going to be a Lincoln's. As we said, Lincoln's is not the item in this game. It's going to be a sheep stick in my mind. I mean, more control is going to be necessary. They need to lock down Matuberman for one. They need to stop this Faceless Void when he gets these Chronos off. And more importantly, when these Chronos do happen, if they can stop Nota getting a Mystic Flare off, that's equally another win-win scenario. They have everything that they need, or at least in planning stages. If they can get this Scythe Device up, among other things, they will be able to fight a lot easier. But Matuberman, he manages to get hit by the Magic Missile, and now a couple more right clicks.
And Boogie is just...
Yeah, Boogie is just chewing through him. He managed to BKB and at least avoid the waveform, but now in comes Stone, looking for Nerty, and a couple of right clicks with that Mask Commander. That's going to be a very dead Vengeful Spirit. I was going to fly in, not even needed, but in comes Boogie once more. Now working on Stone, he's going to be forced to BKB and get away. There's no way to stop the BKB on this team, and that's going to be the end of that. Well, there is the swap, but with a dead Vengeful Spirit, that's going to be the end of that.
Boogie is having a really, really big impact now.
Indeed, and if he can maintain this impact, it's going to be a staggering driving force towards this late game scenario. So we have an Echo Slam falling and Boogie actually going down. As we say, he's having a massive impact. He's also giving away a kill.
He's having a massive impact, but the thing is, he's almost killing people. He's 3-3-3.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, he... Like, for example, on Matumbaman, he wasn't able to actually complete the kill. So he's almost got it, but not quite.
Yeah, that's going to be the Daedalus. That's the full Daedalus.
Yeah.
I hesitated for a second with what we were discussing earlier.
Second Daedalus.
Yeah.
One on Valix and one on Matumbaman.
They have the crit damage, and now they can look for the Roshan once again. And if they can take Roshan, they're going to be in a good driving force for cracking the space. But let's take a look at net worth, shall we? Net worth. I'll get there eventually. 20k on that Mirana. Equally though, 18k on the Morphling, which is a fairly large amount. But then you look at the third and fourth positions on that list. They're not what you want to see. An Ember Spirit as well as a Faceless Void. These are some very rich cores on the side of Vendivative EC.
Yeah.
But equally...
And this Viper is just becoming... He probably should have gone for the Aghanims, because he's increasingly becoming irrelevant.
Yeah, I feel like the Aghanims would have been the right choice. It'd help him tank up a bit more, but more
the Vitality booster, you know, whatever.
They're going to try to build a heart up on Sifler, but it's not exactly going to be an easy item to finish, since he needs a good, what, 2,500 gold-ish to finish it.
He could be going into Rod of Ados. That would at least give him some utility, some reason to be in the fight. Do
you really need more slows on a Viper, though? I don't see it being an Atos. I can certainly see the argument for an Aghanims, though. 6-second cooldown on Viper Strike. No, it's 12-second cooldown on Viper Strike. Sorry, is such a strong thing. Slow down the BKB carries. Try to bring down the Faceless Void with the Viper Strike, and we can see Stone getting a little bit aggressive. And that's another Illusion Chrono. That's 3 in the tournament so far. Well, we do have some fun here at the assembly. We've had some good games. We've had PGG striking a few times. We've had a few ults thrown towards illusions. It's all in good fun. An arrow's going to fly, not going to connect. Not needing the BKB to avoid that, but just doing it for safety.
Yeah, it was a bit of a wasted BKB.
Safety BKB.
Wasted.
Well, here comes the tier 3 siege, and we're expecting Sifler to be the, well, front line, and he's going to get obliterated here if this keeps up. He's going to get swapped out by Nerte trying to keep him alive. But as it stands, the tier 3 is starting to be sieged, and this is not the position you really want to be in for PvP, but
push up at top, though.
There is always that Nature's Prophet, and, well, Nature's Prophet has another name, which we commonly call him Nature's Rat, and he's known as a rat for this reason. He can split push while a team fight's going on, and you can lose your racks very quickly.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything against the Ember Spirit. Now,
yeah, very true.
They can pop the Aegis, but then they have to get out.
Equally though, here we go, the tier 3 siege is on once again. They do have the Chronosphere, they do have the Mystic Flare, they have pretty much all they could possibly want, and the Echo Slam. Here we go, Chrono on 2, they're going to most likely swap out Boogie, but no, they don't manage to do so in time. Gem on the deck now, and that's going to be a very big kill. Morphling immediately buys back, however, and now they're going to turn around to Son, but the Ember Spirit just chopping away, double kill from Matuberman, and that's another buyback used, buying back on the VS, and now they're trying to get back into this fight. Boogie is just brawling with Matuberman, but at this point in, can they keep fighting this? If Seppo extend out of the base too far, and what an Echo Slam! All three and a full creep wave! And now in comes Son. They're going to obliterate everyone. Thompson on a double and Son on a dominating spree. They're even going to bring down the Viper once more. That's a dieback from the Morphling as well as the VS, and that's GG.
MVP Thompson. That
MVP Thompson.
Damn.
That was an impact. I think that's what we were waiting for.
I mean, with so many BKBs up, we were already ready to kind of write off these supports, but they kept on finding the openings when those BKBs were down or when they weren't being used effectively.
Catching out the Morphling with that first Chrono and then forcing the buyback was one of the biggest things in that.
Yeah.
Forcing the buyback, forcing Morphling, and then killing it again.
Noto was really on point with that Skyrat many times.
Indeed he was.
Very effective.
I have no real words for that Echo Slam. That Echo Slam was beautiful. That was perfect, and I love seeing Earthshaker. I almost said Ember Spirit. I love seeing Earthshaker play to such effect. But that does mean, ladies and gentlemen, that Vedividi will be advancing to the grand finals, where they will be taking on the Finstack. And, well, I think we are in for a show with that one, aren't we?
It should be a really good one. A really, really good game.
Indeed. I'm hoping for a best of 3, a full best of 3 for that one. And, well, I can't really say much more than that. I'm really looking forward to the finals, and I hope you guys will join us for it. So on that note, we'll catch you in a short amount of time, and we'll be going straight into the grand finals. Best of 3 between Vedividi and Finstack.